he showed you.
Yeah, we went through more or less the process. I asked him, okay, what do you think would be the process to disassemble the lock? So we took one apart, but it's different ways that you can do this. And actually, there were some comments, we're doing this way. Yeah, that's different ways that you can take apart the locks.
So there's several issues. One, if you have the key for the lock. Two, if you don't have the key for the lock, you need to take it apart. And so,
طبعا الباحث يقول عدة اشخاص بيستفسر كيف شكل البستم عن نظام فتحه بالطرق اللي يسمونه بالبمب او بالطرق فتح كون الدخول شوف اثر على البستم. هذا ما وريكم اياه. بالنسبه للشيء الثاني في توبي وراكم كيف يفتح فك ميكانيكيه الكالون السلندر غام سلندر في عدة طرق لها. وراكم بطريقه واحده او كل كالون له طريقه معينه او له طرق شيء كله متشابه لكن لا شوف تتبع الثانيه. ففي هذا طريقه كالون سلندر عادي وراكم مفتاحها. مارك يقول في حاله وجود طبعا مفتاح في عده طرق معه لكن في حالات انه يكون عندك كالون مع مفتاح تقدر تفتح يعني كيف طريقه فتحها بس في حاله الكالون ما عندك مفتاحها كيف تفتحها؟ فها ايضا موضوع ثاني. الان انا بالنسبه للخبراء الفاحصين لما يجيكم قفل بدون مفتاح تفحصونه بدون مفتاح يعني في اثار ثانيه بس هل يعني يا قفل بدون مفتاح
ممكن بحث على بعض.
شوف
اذا كان مكتوب مثلا هل عليه عنف ولا ما عليه؟
اجزاء داخليه؟
اجزاء داخليه هل في مفتاح؟ هذا ما في مفتاح؟ ما نشوف حسب المطلوب.
لا مطلوب لها هل يفتح ولا يفتح؟ اسم كويشن يعني the lock what you say you have to open it with the key and then you have a key.
right. Yeah.
If you want to examine a lock, it comes with a key. How do you examine it? You use that or not examine it? They say you can from our side you can examine outside. For the key you cannot show you don't have a key for it.
Oh, but we can show you how to open the lock without a key. If you have the cylinder,
Yes.
we can show you very simply how to open that, how to take it apart.
نوريكم كيف فكها بدون مفتاح.
All right. So, and everybody want to see that?
كل واحد يشوف هذا الشيء.
Yeah. Okay. The most important thing is you need to know how to disassemble these so that when you take them apart, all the springs and parts don't fly all over your laboratory floor.
نفتحها بطريقه تكون شيء نظاميه يعني ما نفتحها بطريقه سبرينجات تنقص الصوت تغطي ارضيه المختبر.
Also, it's important when you're taking apart your lock, not only is also analyze what is in the lock. Are all the parts in the lock? You have a 5-pin lock and only 2 pins are in the lock. So that's also an analysis. 2-pin lock, the possibilities of other keys opening a 2-pin lock is higher than a 5-pin lock.
Yeah. So, or has the lock been tampered with to make it easy to open?
What do you mean by 2?
Okay, you see
can have
we
a
have
5-pin lock with 2 pins.
1, 2, 3, 4, we see 5
يقول
holes.
لك يعني ممكن قفل السلندر يفترض انه يكون فيه 5 لو تفتحها تكتشف بس في بستين.
Now, the other thing you need to understand is like in apartment houses where there's a common access that everybody's key opens the front door.
في بالنسبه للعماره عندك مدخل العماره اذا فيها يسمونه طبعا مجموعه شغل بالعماره في بعض العمارات يكون كل نزيل عنده مفتاح يفتح الباب الرئيسي للعماره.
Okay, so this is what's called maison, M-A-I-S-O-N from French. Maison keying.
هذا باللغه الفرنسيه يسمونه ميزون اللي هو مفتاح الميزون.
Maison means house.
Before the master key?
Huh?
Before the master key?
It's not a master
ما
key.
ترك لا
It's much different.
مفتاح الباب الرئيسي للعماره.
Okay, so, and we're gonna talk about, we're gonna talk about master keying today also a little bit.
ونتكلم عن بعد مفتاح رئيسي في اليوم.
But maison keying is the opposite of master keying. Master keying, one key opens all the locks.
اوكي. مفتاح الميزون مختلف عن المفتاح الرئيسي. المفتاح الرئيسي يفتح جميع الابواب.
Maison keying, all the keys open one lock.
الميزون كي كل يسمونه المفاتيح تفتح بس باب واحد.
Okay, and why would we do that? Because on the front door and the back door and maybe the garage access in an apartment, everybody needs access.
لان كل شخص طبعا في العماره يحتاج الى الدخول من باب العماره، باب الجراج، باب الخلفي، الساكنين في العماره نفسها.
Okay, so how would we do that?
كيف نسوي هالطريقه؟
How do we make all these different keys open one lock?
كيف نسوي المفاتيح المختلفه يفتح قفل واحد؟
We can have fewer pins.
يعني شوف لا لحظه شوي، الحين انت فهمت القصد، القصد في مفتاح يفتح مفتاح رئيسي اللي يفتح جميع الابواب. الماستر كي هذا مفتاح رئيسي. الان هذا عندي مفتاح نفس المفتاح اللي يفتح الشقه، كل واحد شقته هو نفس المفتاح اللي يفتح الباب الرئيسي. هذا شيء ثاني، يعني المفاتيح تفتح باب واحد
بس مختلفين
بس والمفتاح الرئيسي يفتح الابواب كلها. شو عندك يسمونه الموزن كي والمفتاح الرئيسي. مفتاح الميزون.
يعني الميزون يفتح الرئيسي والشقة.
ها؟
الميزون
يفتح هي الرئيسي والشقة.
Okay, very easy. If you look here,
استوعبت الموضوع؟
Don't do it.
يعني كل واحد يفتح شقة مختلف بس مع ذلك
I would just say you can.
Hey,
I don't want to talk about it.
ممكن نجاوب هذا السؤال.
ها؟
ممكن نجاوب السؤال هذا.
مو سؤال.
What Mark is,
ها؟
Okay.
اوكي.
an example, what Mark is telling you about is you have 4 different locks, and those are the numbers for those locks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 4, 6, 5, 1, 1, 2, 5, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
These are the codes for each lock.
Okay?
إذا هذه
For each apartment.
هذه الشفرة لكل مفتاح لكل شقة هاي شفرة كل واحد.
Okay?
Each key is different from each other. So this key is not going to open this one, or they cannot cross on those.
وكل مفتاح ما يفتح باب الثاني.
Okay?
But if I put on this lock, which is the common lock for those, only the big one, number 1 and 2, and don't put the rest of the pin, all those keys will open this lock. It's a cheap way to accomplish, you know, convenience for people.
يعني حق الماستر كي انا اخلي بس العام مشترك 1 2 1 1 2 خلي بس هني هذا وهذا شيء رخيص، هذا تصنيع رخيص حق الناس يسوون حق الماستر كي.
But you have to understand, these aren't master keys.
هذا ميزون كي صح، اللي هو مفتاح ميزون يكون بس فقط الاثنين بين فيه بس فقط، او كذا حق مشترك فيه ايش؟ 5 اشقاء.
Now, what's important about this is, this lock only has 2 pins.
هذا القفل فيه بس اثنين بس.
So how simple do you think this lock would be able to open for an outsider?
يعني شو تتصورون مدى سهولة فتح الباب من برا؟
It would be easy to pick, and the likelihood is that many other keys from other parts of the city could open this lock.
حتى يقول لك ممكن هذا طفاش بشكل شغل بسيط يفتح هذا المفتاح باب رئيسي للعمارة، وأيضا اللي عنده مثلا مفاتيح ميزون مفاتيح لعمارات أخرى يمكن يفتحون الباب هذا.
So again, you need to understand this so you can ask the questions. And
لازم تعرف هذا النظام سيستم على أساس تعرف تطرح أسئلة.
remember, keys are the easiest way to open locks.
Again?
Keys are the easiest way to open locks.
المفاتيح أسهل طريقة لفتح الأقفال والقوالين.
So,
ها لا هذا الطرق هذه يعني ابسط طريقه يقول لك بس هم في اكثر لكن هاي ابسط طريقه يقول لك بشكل بسيط تجيب.
So when we're doing investigations involving theft of money, for example, the rule is follow the money. Figure out where the money went. Figure out who got the money. Follow the money.
اوكي يقول لك لما يصير سرقه افضل طريقه انك تتبع الاموال وين راحت.
So in this case, it's follow the key.
في هذه الحاله تتبع مفاتيح.
You need to ask some basic information about the lock. If you have a crime where you think you can't find any other access, they had to have a key.
اوكي اذا انت مثلا في كان حادث صار مسرح جريمه وشفت لازم تشوف المداخل المسرح جريمه، اذا المداخل ما يسمح الا بوجود مفتاح لازم تشوف المفاتيح والاقفال اللي تسمح بالدخول.
So in this kind of investigation, you have somebody broke into a bunch of apartments and you don't know how they got in the front door.
Again?
You're trying to figure out how did they get through the front door.
انت تحاول تعرف كيف دخلوا داخل الباب الرئيسي او الباب الامامي.
Okay, so this is the first question you ask. How easy is that lock to open?
اول سؤال ما مدى سهوله هذا الباب للفتح؟
Okay, and the other concept that I just need to make sure you understand is keyed alike.
What?
Keyed alike.
What does mean keyed?
Keys.
Key.
The lock, what keys?
Okay.
Okay, so do we have 10 different locks or 50 different locks with all the same key? That means
Okay.
keyed alike.
اوكي شو كم عدد المفاتيح المشابهه للقفل؟
Okay, so why is this important? Like our United States Post Office.
هذا ليش مهم؟ لان مثلا على فرض جميع صناديق البريد او مفتاح البريد صندوق البريد.
We have a big problem with mail theft.
عندنا مشكله كبيره في سرقه البريد.
Okay, so all of the collection boxes for mail
كل الصناديق الخاصه للبريد
are on the same key.
كلهم مفتاح واحد.
So if somebody figures out how to make that key, they can go steal mail out of a whole bunch of collection boxes.
اذا واحد عرف كيف يصنعون هذا المفتاح يفتح صناديق يسرق صناديق البريد كلها.
So,
The other example is FEMA.
oh yeah. Okay,
And this will tie more what we were talking these days.
yeah. So when we had,
Talk about the FEMA case.
I'm going, when we had Katrina,
كاترينا لما كان اعصار كاترينا.
the hurricane, okay? When we had millions of people displaced,
لما صاروا برا عن الناس من مكان
okay?
كامل.
So our federal government, Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA,
Yeah.
they buy thousands of trailers for temporary housing because nobody has houses.
اوكي. فيما فيما
Federal Emergency Management Agency.
اوكي هاي منظمة إدارة الكوارث ثم فيما جابت آلاف البيوت المؤقتة وضعتها سنة لحد اللاجئين هناك اللي ما حاطين بيوت بعد إعصار.
Okay, so they buy all these trailers.
هاي مثل مقطورات هاي. مقطورات.
And the locks on the trailers, the manufacturer keys them all alike.
والمصنع صنع إن جميع التريلات نفس المفتاح.
So somebody puts a picture on the internet of the keys.
واحد حط صورة في الإنترنت شكل المفتاح.
They take a picture of the key, they make one, it opens all the trailers, they start stealing stuff out of the
اوكي
trailers.
حط بس سوى صورة نسخة صورة من الإنترنت وسووا مثلها قاموا ايش يمرون على التريلات كلها يسوونها.
Yeah, welcome to America. This is American ingenuity at its best. And so I'm in New York with some associates from Bell Laboratories. And we're sitting at dinner and my friend, who is a physicist, hands me 2 keys.
كنت في نيويورك وكنت في المختبر واحد من الأصدقاء فيزيائيين سلم لي مفتاحين.
And he says, this is a gift from Bell Labs to you because we know you're impatient, so you don't like waiting for elevators.
هذا هدية منا لك لأن نعرف غير صبور وما تترين لفت.
In New York, 2 keys open all the elevators and control the elevators in the whole state.
في نيويورك عندك بس مفتاحين تقدر تفتح جميع المصاعد في نيويورك وتتحكم فيهم.
One for New York City, one for the rest of the state. So you can stick the key in the elevator and bypass everything.
يعني ممكن انك واحد يكون البلدية وواحد المنفذ المسبلتي هذا هذا كيف؟
One for New York City, the
مدينة
rest for the rest of the state.
واحد المدينة وواحد الولاية.
So
يعني ممكن انك تدخل هذا المفتاح تاخذ جميع المعلومات او تتحكم فيها.
now the reason for that is for the fire department.
هذا مهم حق الدفاع المدني.
But nobody ever thought that if you get one of these keys, you have access to all the elevator systems. And
اسمحوا لي شاهد العملية اتصل فيني.
so, but that applies to other things also. Electricity panels, alarm panels. There's a lot of systems that are keyed alike. Power panels, telephone panels that are keyed alike. And so you really need to be cognizant of that because, again, what does the lock look like and who could have accessed the lock? Are the locks commonly keyed? Okay, so, and a lot of times you never think of this. But I've run into cases where the same key opens lots and lots and lots of locks. And that's how the bad guys got in. If our rule in America, if it can be stolen, it will be stolen and often. Okay? So, we also want to talk today, after we get through with forensics and you guys taking apart cylinders, we want to talk about master key systems and how easy they are to compromise. Because in commercial buildings, not in houses, but if you investigate commercial theft, you need to understand that if I get a master key, I got access to everything. And you'll never know I was there. There's no evidence of entry. Okay?
Also on forensics, that's what you guys are focused on. You also have to look or understand why you can get different marks or different situations with the cylinder. This is just a brand new cylinder. You know, you can see the board totally round, with no problems. I'm gonna do something on the cylinder that some locksmiths do to allow the key to run smoothly, to get more reverse, and it's that second pin over here. You see, it's not totally round. I make like a
Chamfer. It's an angle so that the tolerance doesn't have to be precise,
So
and it'll still
we have
drop
more
in.
tolerance on
Yeah.
the pins because the top pin is not gonna totally catch. It's gonna try to, you know, lift the pin. So the chances for other keys to open that cylinder is gonna be higher also.
Now, you also have to understand, we talked about it a few days ago, I worked some investigations near Washington about cross-keying and tolerance errors. So that one key opens a lock it's not supposed to. You need to see how long have these locks been installed? Are they worn? So that again, people can jiggle keys to open other locks that they're not supposed to get into, especially in an apartment house.
Yes.
Is everybody with us? Okay.
Another
No,
very common, I wouldn't say mistake in the security aspect is when locksmith or the person who's doing the cylinder also put the bottom pin, that is the one that has the chamfer, they put it on the top as a top pin.
Yeah.
So when you disassemble a lock, just try to disassemble by taking one by one and see how the location, how that pin is. Because that also gives you an incredible amount of keys that can be
When
interchanged.
you disassemble a lock, you have to be very, very, very careful. One pin at a time, and you want to put the pin in your pin tray as it came out. So that you know, was the pin inserted upside down, so the angled part of the top pin, for example, is pointing downward, which it shouldn't be.
I don't know. Oh.
No.
I think they're understanding everything.
فاهمين يا جماعه انتوا الوضع ترجم؟ ها؟ ها؟ Okay, go ahead.
We've taught them English this week.
Huh?
We've taught them English this week.
Oh yes. Arabic.
Yeah. When I come back, I'll know Arabic. Okay.
Another thing I want to do on this cylinder, just run a pick. You see how just by rubbing it, you see how
يعني هذا مادة البك هاي مادة صلبة وهذا نحاس شوف كيف بس بسيطة عمل ايش؟ خدوش.
this is just the outside, but that's what happens on the inside. You know, I just put the pick and rubbing it just a little bit, and you see all sorts of marks. Now that you can see now from the outside. Somebody tried to pick or put something inside the lock, you're gonna see those marks. And if you see the cylinders, you can see marks around. When they made the keyhole, they used a tool to go like a key in and out. So you're gonna see marks all parallel.
في القفل بيكون مجرى المفتاح لحظة شوي اختماني ترى الدورية هناك موجودة. خلاص ها؟ خلصت؟ خلاص مثلا خلص. بالنسبة المجرى المفتاح اللي مسوي المجرى الخاص بالمفتاح يصير ويرجع إذا في آثار غريبة على فيعرف إن في شيء دخل له مو بالمفتاح شيء غريب دخل على المجرى بس سوى الآثار.
So it's going to be very easy to identify any marks that you see up and down on inside the cylinder when we split that cylinder apart.
يكون يعني شيء طبيعي تشوفون آثار غريبة تعرفون لا في آثار غير مفتاح.
Okay, and the reason is the cylinders are brass are very soft material compared with the pig that is very hard.
يعني بسبب ذلك النحاس مادة سوفت طرية مقارنة بالصلب.
Really, let me tell you, I wasn't putting too much tension on this, and you can get those marks if something was inserting into the lock. So basically, guys, pay attention. Pay attention to the lock, what is not supposed to be there, and if you see something that is not supposed to be there, try to understand why. What is that like? That's why I did the boring on the lock, because you may encounter that some people even file the cylinder also from the top.
Oh yeah.
To get more tolerances for changing. So all those are indications that more than one key, the tolerances has been modified.
يعني في بالنسبة انتبهوا يقول لك بي اتنشن او انتبهوا للمواضيع القوانين هاي بشكل جيد في عصاب لان ايضا حتحصلون اثار ثانية، الاثار مو شرط تكون اثار طفاش ولا اثار كذا، في اثار مثلا ايش البساطة نفسها مسحوته بمسحة على اساس انه اللي مسوونه يسمونه محل اقفال على اساس يحط مستويات معينه للقفل بعد، مو شرط يكون ايش؟ يعني يكون من الجانب، لان في ايضا تدخل شيء اخر غير يكون من الشخص اللي يسوي الميكينج، لا تدخل من محل السميث في عمل الاقفال، يعدل القفل يركب القفل ويسوي كذا، بعد هذا لازم يعطيك انتباه كامل على القفل نفسه.
Okay, so let's talk about cylinder disassembly?
خلينا نتكلم الان على فك انسان دفق.
Okay.
Can you do the assembly of the if you don't have key?
If you have a key.
No, if you don't have a key.
Okay. Okay. So normally you can't take a lock apart if you don't have a key, obviously. You have the lock in your hand.
يكون عادة إذا ما عندك مفتاح تقدر تفك اللي يسمونه القفل وإذا القفل في إيدك عادة لما تحط احنا نفتح القفل نحاول نحط المفتاح المعتاد استخدامه في الفتحة ونحاول نفك الأجزاء تطلع الأسطوانة الداخلية بشكل إنه إيش يكون المسافة في مكانها.
Okay.
كل مفتاح موجود بس الآن إذا ما عندك المفتاح وتفتح الداخلي كيف تفتحها؟
So you have a lock that's been removed from a crime scene.
عندك قفل تم أخذه من مسحة جديدة.
It's been labeled what door it came from, but you don't have a key.
وعليه يسمونه طابع إن هذا أو عادة يكون فيه تاج أو ليبل حق من هذا المكان مسحة جديدة مكان الباب الرئيسي باب الأمام أو الخلفي أو باب غرفة النوم أي باب يكون وبس يكون بدون مفتاح.
Now, we're not talking about a padlock. We're talking about a cylinder lock, one that you can get to. We're not talking about a padlock.
This is a padlock.
No, this is a cylinder.
Cylinder.
A padlock is a padlock, self-contained lock with a
This is a padlock.
padlock.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
وحلقة.
Okay, so we're going to take the simplest example, which is a cylinder lock.
احنا بناخذ ابسط الاشياء اللي هو النظام السلندر.
Okay, but I don't have a key for this lock.
ما عندنا مفتاح لهذا.
And obviously, you don't want to pick the lock because you're going to introduce your own marks.
طبعا ما اقدر ادخل اي آلة مثل بك ولا شيء تترك اثار داخلية.
So we want to take the lock apart without damaging anything.
لما تفك القفل بدون ما ندمر اي شيء.
So depending on the design of the lock,
يعتمد على تصميم القفل.
Shims? Because I don't see the shims here.
I think I got a couple in my case.
Oh. I don't see where was it.
Huh?
One just, I don't know what it is.
Well, I thought it was some way. Just bear with us for a minute because we're looking for a part that we need. Here. Okay. So, there are several ways of taking apart a cylinder. Some cylinders, for example, you have a profile cylinder with set screws? Profile cylinder with set screws. Let's do that one first. That's the easiest. Okay. The first, the easiest way to take apart a profile cylinder, okay, is with set screws. Set screws. Allen wrench.
You're gonna see this.
Go down. Yes.
It's too black. Just I put the.
Here, get one with screws. Okay. Some cylinders have little screws on the top
بعض السلندرات فيه براغي من فوق
to keep the pins in each chamber.
تخلي كل بن في فتحة خاصة فيه.
Okay? You can unscrew each one of those and drop out the pins.
أنت ممكن تفك هذه الفكات هذه وتطلع البزات من داخلها.
Okay? And then once all the pins are out, the lock comes apart.
ولما يكون البنزات كلها طالعة برا الاسطوانة داخل.
So you take your little setup kit, which has the little compartments for each pin.
which kit?
These kits.
اوكي. بيكون عندك مثلا ايش؟ عندك علبة مثل هذه كيت، تحط لما تطلع البساتين وتطلع الاجزاء تحط كل جزء خاص في مكانه الخاص.
Okay? Now, I like deeper trays. These are really shallow trays. I don't like these. We have metal trays, but these are much deeper. So that it's much more difficult to screw it up. Oh yeah, they're metal, and it's much deeper, so that they drop in. These, it's pretty easy to jar this, right? Okay, because you really want to know where the pins came from. Which is the first pin, which is the second pin, okay.
يعني عموما هذه يقول اساس انه في نوع ثاني مصنع معدنيه وتكون بلاستيكيه بس معدنيه شوي اعمق وافضل من هذه. في ترجع البساتين كلها والسبرنجات والاجزاء الكالون.
معدني؟
ما في نوع معدني ثاني.
ما ممكن نسوي سماعات؟ يعني مثل فكرة السلاح.
Okay.
مكتوب يعني.
Okay. So, you understand, obviously, we're going to take this is called a Mortis Cylinder, all right? We took the tail piece off the back. There's 2 screws.
في هذا مثلا شوف في هذا النوع من القفل هو سلندر ولكن في نوع من برقيين فكينا البرقيين من هنا من الخلف.
Now, what's the purpose of the 2 screws?
شو أهمية هذا البرقيين هنا؟
Yeah, so when you stick the key in, you don't pull it apart, all right?
لأن تثبيت الأسطوانة الداخلية.
Okay, so if I stick the correct key into this lock, what's going to happen?
إذا حطيت المفتاح صحيح في هذا القفل شو بيصير؟
No, forget the forensics. Physically, what's going to happen? Yeah, and what happens if I pull on that key?
تسحب لك الأسطوانة.
Everything.
It's all going to come out,
the
and you just screwed up your case.
صار قضيتك كلها.
Because now you got pins all over the floor and little springs that you can't find and you can't testify about. Other than you screwed it up.
In US we call that you're fired.
Yeah, that's what we call you fired.
Excuse me. Can you use also the blank key?
Yeah, now, that's what we're going to show you. Okay, this is a blank key. Okay?
مفتاح خام.
This key obviously won't open this lock.
هذا ما يفتح.
Right?
But we'll leave mark. We don't leave
No,
mark.
not
If the original it will not leave
really. It's a blank key, it's not going to leave any marks.
Okay.
Unless you jam it in. Okay? You feel that. It just glides in.
Then after that.
Okay, who can tell me how to open this lock with a blank key?
كيف ما يبني يقول لي اقدر افتح
And,
هذا القفل.
and I'm not pumping it either.
وانا ما اسوي مثلا نظام الاقتطام او البامبينج.
Who can tell me how?
كيف افتح هذا الان القفل؟
Who can tell me how to open this lock with a
اللي مو
blank
مسواه
key?
مو مهيئ او مو مشكل في هذه الاسطوانه كيف افتح الان كيف اطلع الاسطوانه هاي؟ انا شليت البقيه من هنا تثبيت حطيت مفتاح الخامه داخلها الان ابى اطلع الاسطوانه كيف اطلعها؟ اسحب الاسطوانه. ها؟
Move it little bit.
يطلع السلندر هذا.
The cylinder moves.
Yeah,
It's
but
possible.
the-
It's not
metal plate.
Wait a minute, what did you say? Tell me again.
The cylinder move. It's possible.
What do you mean if the cylinder moves?
I mean the inside.
Shear line.
The shear line. Yeah.
Okay, but I've got a lock, there's 5 pins here.
There is
في
no
عندي
shear lines.
القفل في
No.
5 بساط داخله.
It's a functioning lock, okay? This key won't open it. How do I get it out? How did I get the plug out?
كيف اطلع اسوي الاسطوانه الداخليه منها؟
Maybe by shim.
Huh?
Shim.
What would I do with the shim?
Backside.
Huh?
Push it from backside.
Okay. Have you done this before?
Yeah.
Huh? Okay, so let's introduce the third component. What
أصل آخر.
do I do with the shim? Tell me what I do with the shim. Huh? Shim. All right, this is a piece of flat metal about 6/1000 inch thick,
اوكي هذه عبارة عن
or maybe thinner.
أقل من نص ملي عرضها.
3,000?
عرضها يعني جزء من الملي ويسمونه على شكل مقوس، بس هاي يسمونه الشم.
Okay? So, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to, if this shim is thin enough,
إذا هذه الشم ضعيفة بما يكفي الكفاية.
now remember what I told you about the plug and the shell and that there's a gap.
اذكروا اللي قلت لكم اياه اللي هو الاسطوانة الداخلية والخط الفاصل ما بين جسم الاسطوانة ولا شو يسمونه شير لاين، الخط الفاصل والفراغ.
Remember what we talked about picking?
تذكرون لما قلنا لكم عن
Picking works because there's a gap that you can trap the pins between.
يسمونه طفاش انه تقدر تحرك البث لان في اشياء بفاصل بينهم.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, I've inserted this shim in that gap.
انا دخلت هالشم في هذا الفراغ.
Okay? So, if, and I've got a blank key all the way in, what do you think I'm going to do with that shim?
وانا عندي يسمونه المفتاح جرانتي او الخامه اللي افتح الى النهايه، فسوي بهذا الشم.
There you go. And I'm going to push, and what else am I going to do? Right now, the shim's not going anywhere.
انا بضغط بس شو اسوي؟
بس احد
Okay, what just happened? No, I haven't rotated because it can't rotate.
انا سحبت المفتاح.
One step.
So what I did was I put a little pressure on the back of the shim.
ضغط قليل على الشم نفسه.
And then I withdrew slowly the blank. Now we got 2 stops.
اوكي هي انا الحين مع كل مفتاح مع سحب المفتاح وضغط الشم داخل انه يصير ايش؟ بلوك، يعني كما حسبتها مره داخل مره ثانيه، شو معناه؟ معناه ان بساتن في مكانها وانا دخلت في الشم وعملت الفاصل. الشير قصد الشير وعملت فاصل الشم في فاصل الشير يعني او في الخط الفاصل.
So what I'm doing, if I can get this to move forward,
اذا حركت الامر
and you have to be careful because you can't do it at an angle.
لازم تسويها بشكل حذر لانه انت عملت بزاويه.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push, I'm going to keep removing really slightly and putting pressure on this shim, and what the shim is doing, if I don't lose this, it's going between the bottom pin and the top pin.
هذا الشم بيكون خط فاصل ما بين البستم السفلي والبستم العلوي.
So basically, if we look at the graphic, this is the plug, the housing or the shell, the spring, the top pin and the bottom pin.
like that.
Sorry?
I'm asking,
What?
will not make mark like that?
No, there's no marks to make. What I'm doing is,
Okay.
here's what I'm doing. We're full, this is a very soft shim, all right? What I'm doing is I'm very slowly raising each pin. And as those pins cross shear line, the shim is going between the bottom and the top pin, so there's nothing to mark.
انا كذا اسوي اسحب المفتاح بشكل بطيء واضغط على الشم الشير لاين او الخط الفاصل، فكذا اسوي اعزل البستم العلوي عن البستم السفلي.
So if I can get this shim,
Now also remember that you have mushroom pins.
yeah, that's another problem.
Okay.
في بعد سنسور احتمال يكون
Okay, and that lock is over.
بالتصميم مثل المشروم.
Okay? Now I'm going to pass this around
خطر.
to show what I did. Don't pull on it. Okay?
انا ابغى استخدم. انا بوريكم اياه كيف دخل الشيم كامل بس لا تسحبونه. وصله للداخل اخر شيء. الفاصل ما بين القفل والسلندر.
Okay.
The shim can only put from
From the back. You can't do it from the front, obviously, or you could open any lock. Because the shielding is blocked from the front. Okay?
There's some cheap
Cheap lock.
that they don't, that you can introduce a shim from the
Yeah,
front.
that's not.
But that, if you see that, that's the cheapest, they use it.
Okay, so.
What I wanted to mention, what
Excuse me, one question. Please. If you don't have cylinder and you want to take out
Then it's really,
with the ship.
well, you can do it with the backside of a pit, but it's a little more difficult.
the pick is harder.
You can lift all the pins, but it really becomes difficult because you only want to lift one pin at a time. The closest pin to the back of the lock, you have to work your way forward.
This is the reason that why you want probably the key. First of all, the key only touches the pins, the top pins, in a regular way as a regular key does. It's not going to touch any part, or it's going to scratch any sides of the lock. Even if you use a pick from the, like, instead of like trying to pick it backward, start touching the, you're going to make some scratches. So definitely I will not suggest you
So
to
you
use
must
it.
have.
If you can go to a locksmith or somebody who sells these keys, and if you cannot do it that way, try to disassemble from the top, from the bottom one, however you go. Because that same, if you look at that same cylinder, it has a cap, a press cap. So you can remove that press cap and top all the pins, you know, one by one, little by little. But I would not, if you want to use a shim, use a brand new.
So,
What about this one? Should cut for the middle? If you want to do the same thing?
The thing is, different ways to.
I think so, you should cut for the middle.
Okay, and now we're going to talk about
let's
different.
talk about that.
I mean, yesterday we had that.
So, once we have that lock turned, what are we going to do next?
Take the cylinder out.
Okay, then we want to take the plug out. So, then we use, I think Toby showed you a couple days ago, what we call a following tool. Okay, so what we're going to do is, we're going to abut this against the back of the plug. Okay, what's the purpose of the following tool?
Keep it
Spring and
Okay, we want to keep the top pins and the spring in the shell. We don't want them to come flying out. Now, one of the complicating factors in figuring out the key for this lock, because you obviously realize we can figure out what key fits the lock once we take it apart. One of the complicating factors is if this is a master keyed cylinder, because there's going to be extra pins in it. Okay? So we're going to get to master key in a little while. Just keep in mind, you really got to be careful of taking the pins out. And the way you do this, once you're going to disassemble this lock, first you put the following tool, I'll show you, all the way in, so we can get the plug out. Once you got all the pins out of the plug into your little setup tray, then you want to take the pins out of the top pins. And you want to look and see what the springs look like. Okay? So the way I do this is I pull it from the front, or from the back. I start releasing the pins from the front of the plug going backwards. You with me? So that, and I pull this really carefully, one chamber at a time. And sometimes I use a tweezers so that I can control how the pins are coming out. Because otherwise they're going to all pop out. So if there's master pins, I want to know in what position. So I want to release really carefully each of the pins that comes out of the chamber. Does everybody follow that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, you can use the follower. This is the pin. You just move the follower,
Yeah.
put the tweezer, and
Yeah. So you
just
control
release
release.
yeah.
Okay? Because I want to look at the springs. I want to look at the pins. And I'm going to take each pin that comes out of each chamber, and I'm going to put it in my little setup tray. And then I have a picture of the lock, then I can have the plug out, then I have the whole lock disassembled. Everybody understand? So, and if you don't have one of these, you can go to the hardware store and get a dowel, a wooden dowel, 1/2-inch diameter. Most locks are 0.5 or 0.55 or 0.45 inch diameter. It's pretty much world standard. Yeah, sort of. Unless they're smaller size locks. But this will do work on most locks. And even if there's a little bit of difference in diameter, it's okay. Just so it's not too big, obviously. Okay? Now, there's a different kind of lock.
We were talking about, this is the more common for you guys, the profile, and I was asked, okay, do we have to cut the cylinder? Not always you have to cut the cylinder.
No, but yesterday we cut.
Yeah. Why we cut the cylinder yet?
For the,
Because we didn't have a key.
Where's the lock on
Okay.
the ship?
we are talking about that. We don't have a key.
Okay, I'm gonna go the different ways that I can disassemble a profile cylinder. Okay? Okay, if I have the key, this is a bump key, I just bump the cylinder, but I just wanna let you guys, you know, what you can do is on an original key or a key that works that cylinder, I wanna get that lock like that, you know.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yep. And you really need to be careful when you're shimming the lock. There's a tendency to push the shim at an angle. If you do that, it's going to screw everything up because you need to be right in the middle of each pin. You push it straight forward. Where do you get shims?
Between the pins.
Where do you get shims?
وين تحصل الشم هذا؟
Huh? Where would you think you would have really, really, really fine shim?
From hospital.
Where would I get a shim?
From hospital.
This looks like the foil.
From a hospital.
Actually, it's a one.
What, in the maintenance department?
No, for blood.
Huh?
Just for blood. Small thing. You can put it in there.
A shim?
I think they have it, yes.
Okay, let's use our imagination. Where I need a really fine, thin piece of metal.
أبغى مادة رفيعة جدا.
Huh? No, because it's gotta be spring steel. Because you have to be able to push on it. Aluminum foil, you'll crumple up. Huh? Electric circuit? No. Try it again. Let's think, guys, because here's the deal. We're going to show you how to break some locks later. We're going to show you some videos. Our favorite place is an office supply store for figuring out things that we can use to break locks. Okay? I'm gonna walk by you guys. I want you to tell me where this came from. Here. You guys,
This looks like it's moving magnesium.
no, forget what the metal is. Where'd it come from?
Coil spring.
Oil spring. Okay. Okay. Where'd this come from? Okay. This is what a physics degree will do for you.
لكن وين حصل الشم وين؟ وين كان هذا الشم؟
Tell everybody what you said. She looked at this and she figured it out. Where'd this come from?
It's the round thing found in a clock.
It's the mainspring wire.
يقول لك السلك الرئيسي في الساعة.
I go to clock shops or watch repair shops.
تسير عند محل الساعات أو ساعات.
They always have lots of extra springs.
عندهم سبرينجات إضافية وايد.
I don't know about toys, but this is what I've been using since I was a little kid.
هذا اللي كنت استعمله أنا طفل.
Because you can get these in all kinds of different widths, thicknesses, so it doesn't matter what the lock is, this works great. Okay, so go make friends with one of your local watchmakers and go get a collection of shims.
تعرف على واحد يروح ساعات حسب من الشمس كثير حسب عنده.
We're going to show you how we do wonders with shims. We're going to show you how to open a safe with a shim.
وريهم كيف خزنة من هالشم ها.
Okay, we're going to show you how to bypass some locks with shims.
وريهم كيف يسوون تجاوز فني من هذا الشم.
Okay? We're going to show you how to open a safe like you would think there's no way.
لأنه خزنة تقع على ما تنفتح.
Even with the combination set?
No, with an electronic combination lock.
مع اللي هو القفل الإلكتروني.
Okay? But this can apply to a lot of things.
هذا طلب كثيرة.
Okay, the trick for pin tumbler locks is we want something really, really, really thin. This is probably 2-3 thousandths of an inch thick. You can get these thicker. I've got these in all different thicknesses because of how we use these. One of the things you can do with this, one of the things you can do with this is you can shim handcuff type locks.
هذا ممكن شو تفتح اللي هو يسمونه اللي هو يسمونه كلبشات.
Did you ever hear it doing that?
عندكم تسمع الشيء هذا؟
That's correct. Because if the tolerances aren't tight enough, it's a little ratchet mechanism. When you put on a set of handcuffs, you go brrr, and then they're locked.
لما على تحط الواحد ويتقداها بصوت هذا الصوت يعني هذا قفل.
Yeah. So what you do is you insert this between the gear and the ratchet.
هذا تحطه فاصل ما بين الجير الضروس مع ضروس المقابل للمجرى.
And you push the handcuff 1/2 of the gear, and this inserts between the two, and then you twist.
كل ساعة كل حركة شل ضرس مع ضرس مع ضرس ضرس لما تمشي كامل.
We had, let me just tell you a case I worked. I don't think you have them over here, but in America we have a big car theft problem.
عندنا في أمريكا مشكلة سرقة سيارات كثيرة.
Because everybody likes our expensive cars.
كل واحد يحب سيارتنا.
So there's a fellow that invented a lock that went across the steering wheel.
في شخص اخترع
It's called the club. It's called the club. It's a long steel bar that's a ratchet.
سوى اخترع اللي هو قضيبة معدني. لا this one?
No, it's a ratchet mechanism. You put it across your steering wheel.
It's a security system.
Two handles.
اوكي هو لا فهم غلط. هو يقول لك في واحد مخترع اللي هو حماس السيارات اللي يمسك يقفل السكان، يحط الحديده هاي يقفلها من جهتين.
So have you guys seen those? Do you have those over here?
Yes.
Okay. So the biggest manufacturer in America makes one of these. They sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of it.
هم مصنع في امريكا يصنع مئات يسمونه ملايين من هذه الاشياء صنعها.
So one of my friends from the FBI calls me and says, we got a problem and they're removing these from cars to steal the cars.
عندنا مشكلة إن هاي يسرقون سيارة ويشيلونها مسايير.
Okay, and they couldn't figure out how they were doing it.
وما يعرفون كيف يفتشون هالقفل من السكان.
So I went and bought one
أنا شريت واحد
and I looked at it. It had a wafer lock on it, but it was a like 4-bitted wafer lock, so it wasn't so easy to open.
يعني
Four like this.
أوكي.
For keyways, top, bottom, left, right.
عند هاي عبارة مفتاح موجود سلندرات من على شكل صليبي عدة، يعني كان صعب الواحد ايش يقدر يفتحها.
Okay, so I looked at it and I figured out how to open it.
أنا نظرت إليه وعرفت كيف ينفتح.
Because the manufacturer, and these were really well made with South African steel, very tough.
طبعا الستيل اللي هو من أفريقيا الجنوبية والنوع المعدن وايد قاسي.
If you took a shim and inserted it through the lock, move the ratchet about a 1/4 inch.
إذا دخلت الشم بين القفل بيتحرك ربع إنش.
Put the shim in, it's gone.
دخلت الشم بالكامل.
So these are, and that's called mechanical bypass.
وهذا يسمى التجاوز الميكانيكي.
Okay, and it's the same theory as to how to open this lock.
وهذه نفس نظرية تفتح القفل هاي.
So everybody's seen this, right? Yeah, in the past room? Okay. So this lock, before Toby goes to the profile, now I'm going to take this shim. This plug is turned.
هذا الاسطوانة دارت القفل.
All right, everybody with me?
So can you do it from the side without using key?
No. Okay, we still don't have a key.
ما عندنا مفتاح اصلا، احنا نفترض انه لما نفتح القفل نفحصه بدون مفتاح، ما عندنا مفتاح.
We never had the key.
We never had.
ما عندنا كي.
It's your case. That's why we.
I had a plan, yeah.
فكتت هذاك خلاص فتحت الحين حركت الاسطوانة.
Okay.
لازم تكون داخل.
ما يكون داخل تمام.
So I'm going to take the shim out of this lock.
أنا أخذت.
The plug is still turned.
شليت الشم والبلاك دائر.
Okay. And then I'm going to be really careful not to turn the plug back.
وأنا أكون حذر جدا ما أرجع الاسطوانة لوضع طبيعي.
And I'm going to put the following tool through the back of the lock. I'm going to put my index finger, this is how I do it, on the front of the plug to control it.
أنا بحط هاي الآلة مثلا بدز الاسطوانة بنفس الوقت بكون صبعي في الجهة الأمامية وأكون يعني أسيطر عليه.
And then I'm going to push the following tool. No pins come out because it's just like this is in the lock. And so here, all the pins are, the bottom pins are in this plug.
أنا طلعت الاسطوانة، البنز موجود داخلي موجود الكامل داخل، والبن السفلي هذا العلوي السفنكري موجود داخل، ما تقطع عليه شيء، كل شيء مرتب، كل شيء موجود.
Yeah? And then I'm going to dump these. So what I do is I just put my finger over 4 out of the 5 pins. Then I drop one out at a time.
أنا أحط إيدي أغطي الأربعة وأخلي
Okay.
أول واحد.
And I'm going to pay attention
أطلع واحد ورا الثاني
on how that pin came out. So I'm going to make sure that the rounded part was on the bottom where it should be.
أنا لازم أتأكد إن القاعدة تكون تحت.
Okay? And when I'm all done dumping these pins out, then I'm going to take the pins from the top part of the lock And what I would do is, I like to take them out from the front to the back, but it doesn't matter. So you just push this, and if you're really careful, you watch as it's being removed. Don't push it. Okay, and if I take this out really carefully, as I pull this past the first chamber, that first pin and then the spring is going to drop out. I'm not going to do it. And then you just go and you take it with your little tweezers, or you just dump it into your hand, but you want to watch how that comes out. And I'm going to put it in the setup tray.
انتبه لما تسحب الآلة هذه أو القطعة من المجرى، بس مجرى الاسطوانة، هتشوف طبعا هينزل لك السبرينج أو الزنبرك من مع البستم العلوي، ها؟ فتاخذ واحد ثابت، انتبه عليه، كل واحد حطه على جنب.
Okay.
You said, see how they come out?
Yeah.
The way they come out?
Yeah, I want to see the way they come out.
Why is it so important?
Because remember what we just said. I want to know if these pins have been put in the lock properly, so that the flat part of the top pin is what comes down, because that'll make a lot more tolerance than if it's the chamfered end. If the pin was, if the locksmith used the bottom pin for a top pin, which sometimes happens.
Or if it was maybe.
If it was, well, the top pins are supposed to be square.
Yeah, I know, but the top, like the pointy end is
Yeah, the
on
pointy
the
end, yeah.
not on the top. That's
Right, it's not supposed to be on the pointed end isn't supposed to be ever on a top pin. The top pins are square pins. Okay? So I want to know, because it's going to tell me if that lock could be easier to open with different keys or pick. Does everybody understand that? Okay? Now, there is one other way to open this lock. If you guys will look, and I'll pass this around. I want to know the guy that pulls the follow-away tool out so all the pins and springs splatter this lock. There's a brass strip on the top that the manufacturer, when they load these locks, they top load them. They drop the pins in, then they put this little brass strip in. You can take a flat screwdriver, really fine strip, and you can push it all the way back, and you can get access to all the chambers. Okay? So everybody understands this concept? It's pretty simple. Okay, so when I'm all done with this, I can put this lock back together. Just the reverse. Now, be sure that when you put this back together, be sure you put this plug in at an angle. And you don't drop any. Okay, here's the hazard. If you put a plug back, well, let me tell you the case. Let's just say that you have a 6-pin lock. With only 5 pins in it. Happens all the time. They don't put the 6th pin in. Okay? But the hardware they had is a 6-pin lock. Okay? So you want to reassemble this lock. And you got a hole, an empty hole, an empty chamber is the last one, because there was only 5 pins in a 6-pin long plug. Okay? You want to be really careful, because if you put this plug straight in, and it'll lock up on you, and you're really screwed. Because now you got a hard time. Yeah, screwed. That's in Arabic too. No. Nobody else can comment. Okay, so you really want to be careful that you do this at an angle, because if you don't do it at an angle, you can trap the pin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exactly reverse the process, and I'm going to put that back in just like that, and that lock is back together. No
When he-
problem.
When he said put in an angle, try to, my experience,
Shall I documentation everything?
ممكن مصطلح
Yeah, you should document everything.
you know, put the housing in an angle. Don't put the pins, or,
Yeah,
because you can.
because otherwise you'll drop them out. You just spin the lock.
Okay, just pin the housing. Be sure also, you're gonna have a reference where the toppings are gonna be sure there is no gaps between
Yeah,
the
between the
plug
following tool.
and the plug.
Yeah. And there's different kinds of following tools with different ends. Okay? So this lock is now all back together. Does anybody need to practice doing this? Yep, okay. So I'm going to turn this, it's locked up now. Okay? So you guys that need to practice doing this, you can do that. So Toby, while they're doing that, why don't you talk about profiles?
Be gentle. Okay,
Yeah, be gentle.
It's not about.
And remember what I told you, be sure that the shim is centered from the back in the center of the last pin, and you force it straight forward. If you force it at an angle, you'll drop it off the pin, you'll have to start all over again. Okay? Go ahead.
Profile cylinder. This is the common cylinder that you guys have here. So, I want to ask you a question. When you do forensic, usually you get the keys? Okay. Most of the time. Okay. Because the idea is not to cut apart the cylinder. Okay? So we're going to go with the different ways that I can disassemble this.
Okay?
So, the first thing that you guys are going to look if you have some sort of screws, set screws that you can remove from each chamber.
في اول ما تلاحظون النوع بالنسبه للفاتحين في نوع من السلندرات في نوع اللي هو يحطون تثبيت عن طريق براغي.
Okay.
Yeah.
This pins also can be, you can try to drill it and remove it. I will not do that, but it's a way that you can do it
في
too.
طريقه انكم ممكن يعني تستخدمون اللي هو مثقاب كهربائي صغير ريشه صغيره يسمونه بفتحه وانا ما انصح بهالطريقه هاي.
Okay. Anyway, this is for you guys. Probably it's gonna be the hardest one.
Yeah.
Because for you guys, how you gonna take that? Even if you have the key, how you gonna pull out the key without losing the tops, the bottom bit?
هذا اصعب شيء لانه يقول انت كيف ايضا بتطلع الاسطوانه الداخليه من القفل بدون ما تضيع يسمونه البساطه الداخليه. ترى هي مشكله السلندر لما يطلع السلندر ينقزون السبرنجات والبساطه الداخليه عن الخارجيه عن الداخليه.
Okay. Easy. I'd rather get you guys to make a copy from the key that you're working with, okay? Or if they have two keys, you can use an extra. But be sure that you get extra keys, okay? What I did here, really fast, I cut the top portion of the key, okay? So whereas the combination of the key, you can see is still there, but I've removed portion, so you can see a gap on the top, right?
Yes.
Okay? That key still works. And what happened? Now I can see the bottom key.
يقول انا شو اسوي؟ قصيت مفتاح هني قصيت مفتاح هني قصيت المفتاح بس ما اضيع مساحه قصيت المفتاح بالطريقه هاي يعني مو بسالفه لما ادخل المفتاح ادخل بطريقه انه يكون لما ندخل يصير اقدر اشوف الاجزاء من الداخليه
Yep. Yes, it's excellent. A key that works actually.
This is with the key. It's not the key.
Well, we go with the key. And then, okay. Why I want to do that? because then, first of all, we remove the retainer that retains the lock, and then it's a tool that you can insert here from the bottom, and then press the pin down, and then you can remove it. Okay, it's a. I don't have the tool here, but I think these guys from Europe have those tools. I can just insert a tool that wraps around the cylinder and it keeps the top pins in place, and then you can pull out the cylinder. And the bottom pins will stay in place. That, without the key, now I'm going with everybody for the easiest, that you have the key, just cut the key from the bottom. There is a special tool that goes on the bottom and blocks the bottom pins, the top pins to go on out, and then you could pull out the cylinder. That is the easiest way for you guys to disassemble. Do you have a picture?
How about a safety here? Here, Toby. Here, I go.
It's something that we do a lot of wraps around the grab the bottom pin. Yeah. I can show you pictures. We have those, but I don't have the tools. This is not common. Yeah. You need to get you can get it. Okay, so that would be if you have the key. If you don't have the key, one of the methods that we discussed yesterday was to cut the cylinder in half, so you can have two pieces, two halves, and then remove the retainer.
الطريقة الثانية لفتح القفل نستخدم ايش؟ نكسر القفل كسرين. نكسرها بريكت حق الفاس. لما اكسرها من هنا طبعا فانت عرفت ان الكسر كيف مره بسيطه جدا. عجرب كسر القفل ولا ما حد يجرب؟
ايضا بالقص.
ها؟
قص حط على البنش.
شو؟ حط لا البنش حط الكسر هني او حطه هذا يعني في بسيطه تحطها هني.
يلا صف.
ها؟
يلا صف.
تحطها هني وتبلك هذا وتكسرها. تحطها كسرته. اسد ايزي خلاص كسرته الصين اوكي كسرته بعدين ايش تبدا بنفس عمليه القفل الثاني مع الشن هسه فوق هذا الشن
This is the same lock.
Yeah, the thing is,
This
the
is
way
just
it's
double.
assembled. That's how they assemble those locks. Either they assemble from the top.
Yeah, this lock has got little plug pins in it. So they load this lock, this is a cheap lock. So they press these little pins in and you're done. Now, frankly, Toby, depending on now, the other thing you can do, depending on how long these little impressed pins are, you could grind the top of this to remove those and then everything will drop out. Okay? Because all these are is little pressed in pins. Okay? If you don't want to cut this apart, you could just grind it until those little pins are gone, and then the chambers are open. Huh? Yeah, cutting is easier. I mean, if you slice it right here, there's not much material. This is one of the ways we break these locks.
النقطة الضعيفة يعني the weak point is not here. This is the weak point. Okay, there's nothing to hold here. The space too small.
Now, okay. So, any questions?
أي سؤال؟
Okay, so we're going to take a break, and then we're going to talk about how do you make keys one key fit multiple locks.
نتكلم بعد البريك، نتكلم عن موضوع كيف نقدر نسوي مفتاح واحد يفتح قفاز في مجموعة
Called master key.
يسمى مفتاح رئيسي.
Okay.
يا جماعة قبل تطلعون اللي كان سوينا تكلمنا قبل بداية مجموعة متأخرين في استمارة باكر حتملي استمارة لتقييم المدربين وايضا بعد التدريب نفس المواضيع حيكون وباكر حق تسليم الشهادات في يسمونه اظن معظمكم خلص تقييم اللي هو البارح كتبتوها استمارة زين هذا الاستمارة اللي قبل التدريب معلومات قبل التدريب ثم حتكون معلوماتكم بعد التدريب هذا شيء. الشيء الثاني اليوم في طبعا عشاء حيكون معكم توزعكم خاطر مكان موقع قريب من السنتر مطعم ايراني زي لكم الصاله حيكون حدود الساعه 9:15
وين بسوي؟
في مطعم ايراني قريب من السنتر اسمه موجود هناك اسمه وحتكون خاطر مع المكان بحيث يكون عشاء للجميع ويجلسون يتعرفوا على بعض الشباب.
الساعة كم تقريبا؟
بكره ان شاء الله او بكره حيجون اثنين محاضرين المان يوم ليله بيوصلون اثنين المان بيوصلون اليوم ليله ويعطوكم ايضا عن مواضيع اخرى في طبعا يعني وقت طويل اليوم يكون ليلة بكرة يكون موجودين الاثنين. اوكي؟ جايين حق المحاضرة هاي. اوكي؟ ان شاء الله. في استفسار سؤال؟ يا جماعة تفضلوا.
By the way, I looked up new HTC phone on the internet. He said exactly the same. I absolutely took the same phone, the case on it, it's the same phone. Exactly the same. We need to do a lock before we move on, because we've got a lot of material to cover yet. We need to do a lock for bumping. You guys want to bump open a lock, cut it open, look at the pins or not?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah? Okay. Because we really do want to cover some other material. So let's do that real quickly.
Okay.
Toby?
Okay. I'm gonna cut a bump key for this lock. I just wanna pass this around and show everybody that the lock is like brand new.
Be sure tomorrow.
Okay. Actually, I want everybody
you my
just
hard
to put
drive,
the key in and I'll
make
try
a copy of the video.
because we want to simulate that was a brand new
When you're all
lock, so
done.
we want to simulate like a normal wear and tear of the lock. Okay, and I'm gonna cut it
Tomorrow,
off.
yeah, we're doing stuff tomorrow too. But after we're
While
done,
you guys are passing that to
I want a copy of the video. Okay? So I've got a 500 gig hard drive, so it should not be a problem. This must be a 60 gig camera. Okay? Okay. All right. So that and still pictures. You guys shot it with still pictures. So I'd like to have all. Okay, Toby. Okay. gonna do here?
I'm gonna put a bump key because I don't have a bump key for that lock. That lock is brand new.
For the Schley?
Yeah, has never been bumped. Okay, we're just gonna bump it and look at the cylinder. Or you wanna?
No, just keep going.
Okay.
Listen, also, how many of you guys want to take back lock picks to your labs? Okay, total, how many want picks? You, I know, of course. Okay, how many more? So how many sets of picks do we need? What do we raise in 2 hands? Does that mean 2 sets?
2 sets.
Okay. All these picks and tension wrenches we brought over for you guys to take back. Okay? So while we're doing this, why don't you guys, because it's going to take him a minute to cut the bump key, why don't you guys come up to the table and take a pick, a hook pick, a rake pick, tension tools for what you guys want to take home. Okay? Because you might as well do it, otherwise everybody's going to forget to do it.
That's it. You're gonna have to fight
You guys fight between yourselves. Go ahead. I'm looking to see if I I thought I brought some no, just you guys, yeah, that's what you need. Yeah. So you guys figure out, you guys divide, fight amongst yourselves, like little pigeons looking for me some corn. And if you guys need more picks, we can, if you get a hold of us, we can show you. All right.
Brand new, you're gonna take it apart, take a look at it.
John Paul. No, let me know. Those I don't have very many of.
But don't do it on that.
Yeah. No, if you guys need bump hammers, send
That's
me
why
an
bumping is a problem.
Because
You know, you
you
have one key, any key, and also brand. Any key, same brand, make a bump.
You guys can also take however many there is. If you need a follower to and if you really need to take a cylinder, we can give you a cylinder.
Okay, the file should always file when
We don't have
forward.
Okay. Because we didn't bring shims. We've got them on. All right. But if you guys will get a hold of us, you can go. That ain't going. That's good. Okay? All right. Okay. No, wait. No, well, just a minute. I might. Just a minute. I can give you one of those. No, don't take one of my kit. This is for showing you guys. Now,
That's why I put out those keys.
where's our, we have, oh, I didn't bring my knife. Let me have take a picture. Take a picture, not the kid. Not the kid. Not the kid. Okay. Yeah, that's, but we don't have very many. Well, wait a minute, I gotta check because some of these are for the lab here. Just 1 second. I gotta check. How many?
هذا ممكن هذا
Yep. That's fine. That's fine.
So you had it like that.
No, you get a hold of us.
هذا حقنا
We didn't think that you guys were
Some of the locks we bought yesterday.
The pin sits here. Okay. The pin sits in that pin. So if you do that pin too, you see it's different. Even though you file it over here, the pin is not going to go. So you have to
These are the ones you got.
That's a pink pin.
Okay, so let's be sure that you guys don't
Keep that in.
Okay, everybody, if you guys need, don't take our bump hammers. If you guys, because we need those for another class. If you guys need bump hammers, you have to send us an email. We'll figure out what they cost, because we get them out of the Netherlands. Okay? Okay, so you can take tweezers. Nothing from that, nothing from this kid. Otherwise, I'm going to have nothing left. Nobody didn't take home. Okay, now, the other thing is, where's all the pumping? Oh, I should have 5. No, not sold out. No. Here, I need to make sure you guys don't take the bump hammers. Who's got bump hammers? Yeah. Did anybody take bump hammers? Okay, and did everybody get tweezers? Okay. Okay, so we're...
I got one, Marc.
Okay, well, we should have 5 bump hammers, at least. Where's all the bump hammers?
Guys, we got you on video, so.
And I brought my polygraph with me. So where did all the bump hammers go? Because we do need all the bump hammers. Okay, and did you guys take... Okay, now. Okay, and does anybody that would want okay, so yeah, okay, so
okay, let's move on.
Okay, let's move on. All right. So did we do the bumping?
Okay, so no, where's the guy who did the because I want to use.
Okay, so we want to take apart the plug.
Well, I sent a cylinder so everybody can see it was a brand new cylinder that, okay, but you're trying to pick it, right? Now you screw up all the, not because you did, we wanted to use this for bumping, but let's use another.
Okay.
You can keep playing with it.
And does anybody need sample locks? How many of you guys really need brand new sample cylinders, Schlage cylinders from America?
New is not that, but let's finish this and because I don't know how many.
Okay, so Toby, go ahead.
Okay, bumping. I did cut a bump key for this type of lock, for the slave lock. But you also cut a bump key. I want to see your bump key. So we're going to use your bump key. Okay? This is the bump handle.
So we're just going to show this.
Okay, so open. That was the key that he cut. Okay? So, do you guys want to do a forensic analysis with one bump? You're going to see nothing. Nothing. Because it was one strike, and we can take this lock apart, all the pins are there, it's brand new, so. Okay, I didn't make even the bump key. Okay? But what I'm going to do, I'm going to bump it a couple of times. We're going to try to open it, open again. And I'm going to try to make some marks. No, I opened it 3 times, one time.
No, you don't have to convince me. Open.
I'm just trying to make marks for them.
Yeah.
So they can. Okay, and let's say, I think it's enough. We open the lock.
Okay.
Even the simplest of marks wouldn't be shown in an SEM microscope, for example? Like,
The simple ones, I don't think so. Because if the lock, when you have wear and tear, we're going to take this apart. I bump it like 10 times. Okay, so we're going to see what is inside, especially on the pins. Okay, that's this one. So this same one, we're just going to put the pins on the microscope. Here, so everybody can see what I'm doing. Okay, I need for somebody a follower. Because you guys took all the
Oh,
followers.
you guys got all the followers?
Yes, I got them all the two.
هذا يدور يسمونه قطعة يعطيه قطعة هنشاف نشل قطعة يعطيه بس يستعير بس شوية بس يشوفها بس.
It's a bar. I'll give it back to you guys.
For sure.
The follower, the thing. Okay. Somebody who wants to work on the microscope.
لا ما أعرف أنا ما عندي. This one? You mean this one?
Yeah, no, I got it. Well, I took apart the lock. Marc will have to switch.
Go ahead.
يا جماعة الصورة الأولية شفتوها هذه صورة ميكروسكوب إلكتروني على أثر الطفاشة قارنة ماتشنج. هذه واحدة بس هذيك مو بتشوف هذيك.
Well, I just want to show first that this lock has the 5 pins over there. The lock that we just bumped with one blow has the 5 pins, and now let's take a look at one of the pins.
يا جماعة عندنا القط لازم خلاص حركة البستن.
ردهم. حسست ما خلينا نشوفه. احنا طلعنا من المولد بلا حمص. نخلص التفتيش على طاري. زي شيء كويس.
If you see any marks on board,
Let's focus. Okay, what do you see on that pin?
تشوفون على هذا على راس قمة البن أو بستن.
Scratch.
Where?
That's the-
Okay, somebody come in and tell me what
عربي
is here about that.
عقد مضبوطة.
Here.
Same scratch.
يبل طبعا الميكروسكوب أوضح وايد.
اي اوضح في هاي السكراتش شوف يعني رمل
بشكل واضح
سكراتش معه.
Just in all the base of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not at the top sample.
Depending how you make the bomb key, also because we're gonna take another pin. If the key of the bomb key is not like in B, it's more close, then it's gonna make some marks also. That's why I wanted to use your key, because it was a handheld made key. He just made that key 2 seconds. How long it took you to make that key? Okay? So, okay. Let's see another pin here. Look at the scratch.
No, focus. Okay. So, Toby, do we know which pin this was or not? Second pin. Now, the markings in part are going to depend on how that key was cut and whether it's symmetrical or not symmetrical as to how each pin made contact with the key.
No, actually, you're probably going to have to see it on the microscope. Because, well, you can barely see it here. You see that? On the microscope, you can really see it.
Okay?
Because, again, you're looking for, you have to understand what happened, what could have made. When you hit the key, the ramp of the key is violently marking that thing.
And rotate.
Well, this
Maybe.
thing didn't rotate because
It's-
once you made a flat surface, it's like start hitting in the same place. If you guys want, just take a look at that pin, and we're gonna prepare another material. But that's basically what you're gonna see in both. You see?
You guys want to take a look at this?
No need, or you guys see?
ها؟
Go ahead.
شوف على الميكروسكوب.
And there's more pins inside that cylinder, so if you want to change the
وفي بنات كثيرة في السلندر إذا تبون تغيرون هذا تشوفونه.
Excuse me, Mark.
Yeah.
Why the marks here here in the circle, but the action it comes move.
Yeah, but it depends on where the key, the angle of the key hits the pin.
You mean the head of the key is do it?
Well, it's not it's the ramp. It's the angle of the key
Okay.
that's hitting a pin. It's striking it like this. Okay, so it depends. So it's hitting at an angle, but the bottom of the pin is also dragging across the material.
It depends here, move
Yeah,
the
well, sure,
circle.
because the key is moving.
I know.
Yeah, so the
The
key's
key
like a
moves in one
saw
direction.
moving across the pins.
The key will move in one direction.
Yeah.
But in, what about the pins? If the pins also move in the
Well,
circle?
the pins are moving upward
Okay,
as you force the key across them. But at the first point, they're going like that.
but it should be, comes in one direction.
Yeah, in one
area.
direction.
Another area, it will be, it's clear, no marks on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not gonna be, well, except, don't forget, he bumped that several times. Don't forget.
Yeah,
So the more you bump it, those pins are gonna move.
But if the bump in one time,
If you only bump it one time, there should be one mark per pin,
Or maybe none.
or maybe none.
Okay, this is what, the problem that we're gonna enter with bumping is, okay, you know how to recognize a now and Marc on bumping. Now, wear and tear in the lock, if the lock is too old,
Yeah.
because this is a brand new pin, but if the lock is too old, the keys are just gonna go up, in and out, and you're really not gonna see that mark very clear.
If the bottom of the pin is really worn, then this is gonna change.
Then you're gonna see, well, I'm not sure.
But
That's the problem with bumping.
at least on one pin, you ought to see pretty good compression marks, assuming the bump key was made properly. If the bump key is off from pin to pin, then you may not see hardly anything, or you may see a lot. It depends on how symmetrical you cut the bump key. Okay?
How long it takes to open the lock, if it was open at all.
Excuse me, but I don't think symmetricity is important here.
Well,
Because it's a probability of how much would it jump.
well, just a minute. It is to the extent to open the lock.
But it's all up to probabilities. I mean, you could have a non-symmetrical
What,
cut.
yes, you can, but it also depends, if it's non-symmetrical, you may bang it a lot to try to open the lock.
And maybe not.
And maybe not, that's correct. So, you have to understand you're sort of creating chaos inside the lock. And so, you may open it on the first strike. And you may strike it 30 times and not open it. So, the more, what I can tell you, guaranteed, the more you strike the lock, the more marks. That's really the bottom line. If it's really an easy lock to bump open, you may not see anything. Okay? Everybody okay on this? All right. Let's talk about master keys for a little while. No? Oh. Okay. So before we go to master key, let me finish the PowerPoint. No, we switch the input. Let me show you a few tools.
Yeah.
And then the guys tomorrow are going to continue with tools and show you how to open some locks and decode them. Okay? But I wanted to go through just to make a couple comments.
Well, the reason that we want to show you some tools now is what we covered was basic tools, mix, special methods like bumping, picking, but it covers a wide range of locks. And you know how to look for this tool mark. Now there's specific tools for specific locks. Then maybe you never have seen it before. And these tools can open also these locks and leave different marks or no marks at all.
Yeah, all of these tools in this slide were made by a friend of mine in Paris who is was the senior locksmith expert for the Justice Department in France. These are all handmade tools and all very sophisticated for opening very specific kinds of locks. So this will just give you an idea what's out there, and there's hundreds of these that have been specially designed for specific locks. Now the guys tomorrow that we work with are going to show you some tools to open some locks. These are all government tools. Okay, this is a really interesting example. This rake pick was made out of an Allen wrench. How do you translate? You all know what an Allen wrench is? A hex wrench. Okay? This was ground down to open this high security Dimple lock. Okay? Why is this relevant? Because this tool helped to steal the $100 million in Antwerp. For locks that weren't supposed to be able to be opened. And this was found at the crime scene, and this little key, you jiggle it in and out, you rake the lock, and they open. Okay? It's very clever. Even the detectives on the crime scene that didn't know about lock picking figured out how to open those locks. This is another special tool called a Sputnik. Okay? This was developed in Germany, and this is, again, lock specific for picking pin tumbler locks. This is what the tool looks like. And so each one of these little members control one of these wires to move the pins. So you can pick this lock very, very, very quickly. Let me just show you very quickly, and I won't run this entire video. This is again developed out of Germany.
I have here now in my hand the tool. It's called Sputnik. We start to produce this tool in the end of the 90s, and this tool is for opening locks without destroying, without any noise, and after you open the lock you have also the code of the lock. You can open different kinds of locks. What you need is in the front of the lock a special key blank prepared for the lock, and if you have the key blank in the front you can open all these locks or all this manufacturer of the locks from who is the key blank. We have small wires into this key blank and small wires or small points, and with the wire you push. You see it? Yeah? Okay, you push with the wire the pin in the curve to the share line, to the correct position, and then you decoded the lock. What's the main things on the Sputnik between the picking technique is, first things, the decoding of the lock, it's more easier and it's very helpful for complicated locks, because if you have different pins into the core, it's more difficult to pick it with the hand pick, but more easy to open it with the Sputnik. And the second thing is you feel the correct position of the pin into the share line more easier if you do it with the hand pick, because the core are shaken very well in this moment if you push the pins in the right position. Okay. what we have here is a core, a half of the core, and I show how the Sputnik works.
This is a very popular tool.
Now I push number 5, the last pin with the wire. Or I push the top pin with the wire. Okay. You have here on the Sputnik 5 different legs. They're in 2 sections. One section on the end, you hold it in your finger and you can push it to the front. If you push it to the front, you control the wire on the key blank. And you have here 2 screws to fix the code after you open and decoded the lock. We have another option to put the second or the 6 to open 6 pins locks, and also we have here the options to put the 6 wire to open this kind of locks with 6 pins. And then we have here the body where you hold it in your finger and turn it left and right, and if you push it on the end and then you shake it a little bit, the body, to feel if you are in the correct position of the share line. And the last part is here the key blank. You can see it on another side better. You have here on the key blank the wires, and the wire pushed the pin into the cord, the top pins. Yeah, that's all. 3 parts.
Now the neat
They're
thing about
together.
this tool is you're only going to see marks on the face,
And then we can use
not anywhere else.
it for opening. My colleagues will be show it, and I will explain it on the side how you are use it. We have here a 5 pins locks. It's from one European, very public lock manufacturers. The name is Abus. Abus, and the Italian blade name Cisa. They are from the same manufacturers, and we built this Sputnik for the key blank in the front for this manufactured. Okay, now we will show you how you can open this lock with this Sputnik. Now my colleagues have the Sputnik in the hand and the half cylinder, and we show it again how we push the pin with the wire. You see it on the front. Kannst du mal machen, bitte? Okay. Okay, and the top pins goes down from the wire.
Push it a couple times just so.
Okay, kannst du es ein paar Mal hin und her ziehen? Wieder, genau. Und nochmal bitte.
Watch how quickly they can decode this lock. And once you pick this lock, you lock all the wires in, and you can make a key. And you can keep opening the lock.
Okay, it's fine? Good. Okay, then, okay, we put now a normal cylinder inside. Dann geben wir nochmal ein, den ich dafür packen soll.
Those are profile cylinders.
These are the locks that you have here in Dubai and all over. This is a very, very clever tool.
Important is that you take all this wire to the back, then you can fit the cylinder I turn it for you that you can see it one more time.
So this is, what you do is have access to all the pins at once.
Yeah?
So it makes it relatively easy to pick, and you turn the whole tool to put force or tension.
Now the key blank and the Sputnik fit perfect into the lock. So it's come. And my colleagues,
So now
how you open it.
each of the
The
wires
thing is that
access
this is the first pin. This I explain it again. Warte mal ganz kurz bitte. I explain it again. The main difference between the lockpicking with the hand and the Sputnik is that on the lockpick you must to feel which pin you must to push it first. And here is it so that we have a direction how we pick which pin on the first. Yeah, we push first the outside pins to get more shaking into the curve. Yeah. Now you see we push the first pin, and you see the curve from outside is shaking. You can see it on the body. Now we try to pick the second pin. And you can feel it on the legs, on the behind, when you are on the direct, on the shear line. Now, if you come to the correct position, firstly is it more fixed and then it's very easy.
So again, where do you think you're going to see marks? Only on the base of each pin, but not anywhere else in the lock, because the wires are right underneath each of the pins.
Not only that, the wire is going to move the pin, it's going to help the pin in position.
Yeah.
So
this
once
is
the
really
wire
clever way
gets
to-
the
yeah.
pin in the shear line, it's going to stop
Yeah,
that
you
pin.
lock it in.
That's why he can go with the tools side by side.
So this is a very clever tool for picking high security locks. And it's also very easy to apply tension without getting in the way of your pick. And we don't care if it's a very restricted or difficult keyway to pick. That none of
Das
that
ist so
matters.
langsam durchmachen.
And you can feel as you pick the lock, the tool turning farther and farther as you get more pins. This is a
Okay.
Now, let me ask you a couple questions.
Yes.
This is actually a lock expert from, he lives in Germany, but he's from Jordan. Okay, tomorrow we're going to have more high-tech tools to open locks. And some special impressioning techniques that you guys may come into contact with. This is a really clever key that was developed many, many years ago. It's a composite blank between lead and brass.
Remember that yesterday that we did the...
النحاس مفتاح يعني مزيج ما بين مادة الرصاص والنحاس.
Talk about this for a minute, because I think I've
Yesterday we did an impressioning on one cylinder, right?
يبقى تأثير على سلندر مفتاح واحد.
Okay, what they did in this case, they removed the top portion of the key and replaced it with lead.
يعني يسموه المفتاح هذا الطبقة العلوية اللي هناك اللي هم النحاس شلوها وحطوا مادة الرصاص مكانها.
So the lead is softer and it's easier to impression mark from the pins into the key.
مادة الرصاص يعني مادة أطرى من مادة النحاس.
Okay, so it's really easy to teach. This was invented out in Canada about 30 years ago. It was patented. It's really, really a clever way. That's what the key looks like. So we've got lead on the top.
And see the marks that the key impression in the lead.
Really, really easy to read.
طباعات على مادة الرصاص من فوق.
So you just have to find those marks
لازم تحصل هذه الآثار.
until you open the lock.
Yeah, and it's very, 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 very easy to see the marks.
جدا بسهولة تحصل ماركات أو الآثار.
Okay, this is a kit that was developed by an associate of mine, John Fall, in England.
هذا أدوات صنعها زميله جون فول.
Okay, John is one of the brightest guys in the world that we work with. He's like brilliant, developing tools.
جو هذا يعني من العباقرة في موضوع تصنيع الأدوات اللي تفتح الأبواب.
Okay, so what John did was he uses a piece of heavy aluminum foil
استخدم قطعة من الألمنيوم.
and he makes a key with a carrier that looks like a comb.
What?
Like a comb, like a comb.
صنع مثل آلة تتبع مصنوع الشعر.
Okay, so you cover a special blank with foil, as you can see. And each of the cuts on this comb go all the way to the bottom of the key.
هو قاعد بطريقة إنه دخلها يوصل أعلى يعني مثلا الطفل الآخر.
And that's what it looks like after you rock it back and forth for 30 seconds. The foil moves down to where the pin is at shear line.
يعني بعد عدة محاولات الأخير الثاني يعطيك الشكل يسمونه المسافة الموجودة في على الخط الفاصل shear line.
Now this is really, you guys have a lot of really cheap dimple locks.
أنتوا عندكم الفاصلات الرخيصة هاي اللي تتركب.
This is really a popular technique for opening dimple locks.
هذا أداة مشهورة لفتح هاي طوال الأطفال السلندر.
If you make a blank with drill holes for all of where the pins are to the deepest part, the deepest bed, if you take a dimple key,
Okay.
and let's say there's 5 pins in the lock,
Okay. The deepest hole.
the deepest hole all the way across, for 5 of them,
Yes.
you cover it with aluminum foil.
Okay.
And then you stick it in the lock and you impression it and in 30 seconds it's over.
أنت تأخذ المفتاح مثلا الحفر الموجودة في المفتاح أعمق حفرة تسوي 5 حفر عميقة نفس المستوى ثم تجيب اللي هو طبقة الألمنيوم التصدير طبقة الألمنيوم الفاولة رقيقة الألمنيوم تلف عليها وتدخلها في المجرى المفتاح وتسوي تجيب تعطيك آثار وين المفروض تقطع المفتاح.
Okay, this type of technique also is called self-impression.
Yeah.
Because it's different from impressioning and finding the key.
Right, you don't file anything. The aluminum foil does your filing for you.
Exactly. The aluminum foils start to form, start to move, start removing material until it self-impression the key. So you just have to rock it back and forth. The foil start to move, start to get into the shear line. The lock is open.
So here's what a prepared key looks like with all the deepest holes drilled. This is the same thing. When you cover that with foil and rock that back and forth, it'll self-impression, just like the ballpoint pen on the cheap locks. It's the same theory. Okay? Everybody gets that? Okay. Lever locks. Lever locks, there's a really neat impression impressioning technique that was developed again by John Fall in England. That this is a demonstration of a video that we shot in Turkey in May.
هذا ليفر لوك او الاقفال نظام الريش فاتيح سميه نظام الريش. هذا ليفر لوك. هذا طبعا بعد ما عملت هذا كيف تفتح هذا الاقفال الاقفال وهذا عرض تم تصويره في شهر 5 في تركيا.
This is a lever lock, and this is an impressioning technique that's very easy, very fast, and basically takes no skill.
هذه يعني بسيطة جدا وما فيها صعوبة وما تطلب أي مهارات.
And now, if you look, this is demonstrated in my book, but we shot a video to show you. And basically, you take a key and you drill a little hole for each of the levers through the key, through the post. Okay. You have you
Like
take
the shaft,
the shaft of the key, okay? You cut all the bitting off,
Okay.
that matches the lever on the lock,
the spacing, okay?
and then they put some
A little piece of nylon fish wrap, okay? On each of the holes and a steel pin, okay? So you end up with a key with 5 little pins in it that can move up and down. Okay? So, here's how this works. This is very quick, and this is again a self-impressioning key that can be used over and over again.
We're talking about a method of impressioning that will produce a key for a lever lock.
Yeah.
And you're going to demonstrate a little tool that you developed, yes? That will allow most any lever lock really to be impressioned and then a key made that'll open that lock. And it's very rapidly, no expertise is required. Put it in the lock, set all the pins in the key as we'll show, and it basically you move the key back and forth, it actually impressions the levers, and they lock into the gate position, the lock is open. Go ahead and demonstrate it.
That's a tension break.
And describe what you're doing.
And this is the key. You see all the little pins on it?
Tension. Right.
For tension, move the pins up and down.
Tension, move the pins, release, tension, release, tension.
Open.
And that lock is open. Now
you have the key.
The key's ready.
And the procedure is, it's just like impressioning.
Like impressioning.
Just like impressioning. You're putting torque, you're moving the key, you're releasing the torque, you're reapplying the torque, you're moving the key, jiggling the key really. And what's really happening is that each of the movable little pins that we'll show in the photograph is actually moving across the key.
Okay, everybody understands that. It's no fish wire that gives resistance, so that as you move the pin up and down, it keeps it in position.
When he first, John Fall did it at the beginning with fish.
Yeah.
This one is metal.
Yeah, but there's still enough resistance. Yeah, it's the same theory. Okay.
عبارة عن معدن بسيط قال في جون كان حاط اللي هو السلك اللي شفته طالع عبارة عن واير الحداد يسمونه الصيد والسمك بس هو مادة معدنية بسيطة بعد جدا يعني بحاول ينفك عدة مرات.
Okay.
هاي الآثار المواد بسيطة أنا في تصوري والله أعلم إنها ما تكون آثار على الريش لأن كل مادة خفيفة جدا على الريش اللي هو من المعدن.
Okay, so we'll do 2 more of these before a smoke break. This is a demonstration of what we just told you about impressioning a dimple lock with foil. Again, there's a lot of dimple locks I guarantee you, you have a lot of dimple locks here.
Yes, we have.
Okay? So, and you're gonna really find it hard to find evidence of entry. All right? Especially on safes with dimple locks.
اوكي. في بالنسبه للاقفال وقوانين نظام السلندرات بيقول انتم هنا عندكم كميه كبيره وانا متاكد انكم صعوبه تحصلون اثار غريبه في الطرق اللي يسمونها الموجوده الان او الطرق الكثيره اثار على القفل نفسه. لان المواد اللي تستخدم فيها مواد يعني اقل صلابه من نفس المعدن نفسه.
You all know what dimple keys look like. So we have some samples. Yes. Or they do from the lab to pass them around. Okay. This again is a demonstration. These are very, very popular locks, and a lot of them are really cheap, and they're subject to this practice. So pay attention. This is using foil, and this individual will demonstrate how to set the foil up, how to open the lock.
And just, I'm rolling and just speak up.
That's a piece of foil. Preparing the key.
One thing that we have to say also that some Chinese manufacturers are making and selling this type of tool. No restriction to the internet.
So what he's doing is forming the foil around the key. And then he'll use an X-Acto knife to trim it. But this is not difficult to do, as you'll see.
Actually, he's preparing the foil, preparing the carrier, the key. So he's just showing the whole process. He's just forming the foil. Because what he tries to do is bypass one of the wards of the dimple keys, because not all the dimple keys are the same. Now he's going to assemble that foil portion into the carrier.
The carrier is basically a key with all the holes drilled in it to hold the foil. And this fellow works with the guys that will be here tomorrow. So this is exactly how long it takes to prepare the foil, but you'll see how quickly, once this is done, the lock will be open. Again, this is a real problem for covert entry. There's a lot of these simple locks.
Okay, that was the preparation. Now it's the actually opening of the lock.
Watch this.
This is what it is. You remove one piece. Now the foil is what is making contact with the pin. You rock it back and forth. The pin self-impression on that foil and then
lock is open.
And what kind of a lock is this?
How do you like that?
Okay, and you have a key.
What's the make?
A little scary, isn't it? Okay.
كيف؟ سواه من طريق من مادة يسمونها هذا مادة الألمنيوم، فول ألمنيوم نسميه القصدير بالعامية، ها؟ سوى حطاه لفاه على مفتاح اللي هو نموذج اللي حطيت بس ما عليه يسمونه ضروس، لفاه عليه حطاه بقالب، حركها بالطريقة هذه هي كون الضروس أو التضاريس الموجودة على القلب بالطريقة اللي مناسبة وفتح الباب.
Okay, this next technique, again, we actually just shot this in Turkey. These are for low-quality Dimple Locks. This is another approach that's really scary. This is a key carrier with a piece of wire, an enamel piece of wire, that's used for impressioning and vibrating open the lock. Watch this.
Go ahead and try it.
Drill motor. The lock is open.
Here, tell them I want to do.
It's a carrier with a wire. Watch.
So what the other guy was doing impressioning, they used a tool to vibrate it up and make it faster.
Okay.
That's another thing.
Oh, it's in. Yeah.
It's just replacing, putting a new wire on from that key. That key. That's all.
And it's open.
Toby, take the key out and hold it right by the lock.
Okay, there it is.
Okay. Good.
The wire makes the profile of the page.
يعني شو يسوي؟ يحط واير على المفتاح. قبل واير ماد
Like an electrical motor wire. It's enamel covered wire. It's a special insulator.
مادة عازلة تبع مادة عازلة للسلاك تحطها داخل على المعدن ويجيب يسمونه هذا زر دريل يتحركها بسرعة كي خلاص يتكون التضاريس الخاصة بالقبل بروحها مع الضغط المركب على البساتم خلاص يفتحها.
Scary, isn't it? Okay, and then we'll just show you a couple of decoders. These are also very specialized tools to stick in the lock, probe each pin, figure out how long they are, open the lock, and then make a key. So these are different decoding kits. These are very sophisticated decoders.
Somebody yesterday was asking us about this turning disc, how secure they were. In the middle, you can see that is decoding a peak tool to open those types of cylinders.
Those disc locks. Okay? These are more, this was one that was very, very, very clever that was invented by John Fall about 20 years ago. This little needle is inserted into a lock and there's a fine little wire that comes out of this needle that goes up the side of each pin.
Okay, basically what
that
that needle do is, that is the needle that you see, it deploys a wire and it's going to stop when it reaches the top pin.
Yep. So then we can figure out how long
they can measure this distance and decode the lock, and they can do it pin by pin.
يعني هذا يقرأ طول كل يسمونه كل بستن، يعني من قراءة طول البستن يعرف يسمونه يحدد شفرة المفتاح نفسه.
Because there is a space between the plug and the pin. It's like when we use a shim to separate these two pins. He's doing it to measure the distance of this pin, and then he can cut. Remember, everything is numbered. If he gets the code for that key, he can make a key. That is called decoding, to cut a key and open the lock with a key. Very difficult also to get pressuring marks on that.
These are just more different kinds of picks. This is really, really, really a clever decoder. This decoder, which was also made by John Fall, allows you to stick a key into a lock, manipulate each one of these movable sections, you come out with a key. You can decode the lock in seconds.
هذا أداة ذكية جدا من يوم الأخرين حسب يسمونه فك شفرات القفل حسب العمق.
Each one of these little sections moves up and down. So you can feel when each pin is at shear line, you lock it off, you have a key. And you have the numbers.
هاي الخطوط او التضاريس اللي هناك تتحرك على حسب عمق البستن اللي ممكن تشعل فيه بسرعه ممكن تحدد المفتاح.
Okay.
Video for that?
Huh?
You have video for that?
Yeah, I do, but not, I didn't prepare it for this, but it's on your government set of discs. It's a very, very clever
على
system.
فكره يا جماعه السجاد اللي اخذتوهم ترى الاشياء اللي تشوفونها هني واليوم ما كلها موجوده موفيز موجوده في السيديات هاي.
This is a variable key generation system, also developed by John Fall, that you can actually use a scissor to cut predefined pieces of stainless steel to simulate keys. Okay? This is very neat. You can see at the bottom, this is a key that I cut. This is a key that I cut with a scissor for a lock, for covert entry. Okay? And finally, this is my 0.8 of a millimeter borescope looking into a lock. This is a handheld little borescope that I can look into a lock and see what the pins look like and what their shapes and sizes are.
هذا عباره عن اندسكوب داخل اشوف شكل البستن وطوله واعماقه على اساس المفتاح.
So this is all handheld that you can put basically in your pocket. This has a video head on it.
هذا من مجله اولمبس بروسكوب عرضه 87 ملم.
The
So-
pin geometry of the medical biaxial and
So,
M3 high
I won't run all
security
this,
locks
but you can look
allow
in
the gate
and look at
position
each
to be visually
pin.
decoded by using a special
This is a
Olympus
very,
borescope.
very
The information that
sophisticated
can be
borescope.
derived from this procedure will allow a more intelligent decision to be made as to what code-setting keys must be tested.
I'm looking at each pin.
We provide a table
And what
to
the
assist
shape
in
of the
this
pin is.
determination. It's only relevant for locks that
This
have been
gives you an
pinned
idea
to
of the
generation
capability of
3
looking
codes.
actually into the inner
Gen
mechanism
2 locks
of the
can
lock.
be
You'll never
visually
know we were
decoded
there.
by looking at the first 2 pins in the plug to determine which of the 4 keys must be used. Olympus is the
And
world
it's a pretty
leader
good
in
picture
borescope technology.
to show the
authors
pins.
have used their
So we can
sophisticated
read
knowledge
that
for
lock
many
based on
years
what we
to
see
analyze
in
the
the lock.
internal components of locks. And in fact, the company is now marketing its
Okay.
0.6 of a millimeter
This
and
is
0.9
very,
of a
very
millimeter
neat little
borescopes,
borescope.
specifically with this application in mind.
And you can use this for a lot of different locks. Okay, so let's take no more than a 10-minute break. Because we're going to run out of time. Okay, all right? 10 minutes, that's it.
Let's continue until 25. Then we have break.
Oh, okay. I thought everybody would go
No.
crazy. Not having a cigarette.
Let's continue until 25.
Okay,
Continue.
so let's talk about master key systems.
هنتكلم على نظام
Okay, and let me just tell you guys, for future reference, we have a library that we teach of hundreds of videos, literally.
عندنا مكاتب وفيديوهات تعطيك تعليم على هذا الامر بشكل استمرار.
The orange disc called DAME, D-A-M-E.
الديسك البرتقالي اسمه ديم.
This is a course that we've taught. DAME stands for Defense Against Methods of Entry.
ديم هو اختصار كلمة دفاع ضد دخول main entrance.
Methods of entry.
طرق الدخول.
Okay, we teach this course. This was a government course. It was taught to government agents. We've assembled 80 videos on this disc.
هذا مخصص يسمونه للحكومات او الكذا. فيها 80 فيديو.
And then the disc set that we gave you guys, which are normally sold, there's another probably 250 videos to show how to open locks and how they work. That we use for teaching.
هناك بعد 250 عرض فيديو كيف طرق فتح الاطفال.
So what we've done is we've documented lots and lots of tools and opening techniques for both locks and safes.
احنا وثقنا كل يسمونه الادوات وطرق فتح الابواب والاقفال والقسم.
So these would all be available to you and they're all on disc.
كلها متوفر لكم وكلها موجود في الديسكات.
But we can bring the tools and show you.
يكون ادوات وريكم اياه.
Now, one of the fellows asked during the break, how do we open safes?
سأل واحد من الاشخاص موجودين هنا كيف نفتح الخزن.
Okay, there's a big difference, first of all, between fire safe and burglary safe.
هناك في يسمونه فرق كبير جدا ما بين خزن ضد الحرائق وضد السرقات.
Fire safes for protecting documents and valuables from being burned are a lot different than burglary safes.
طبعا الخزن ضد الحرائق هي سواي مصممة ضد الحريق للوثائق والأمور القيمة أكثر من السرقة.
Fire safes aren't designed really to be burglary resistant.
خزائن ضد الحريق غير مصممة على أساس تكون ضد السرقات. مثلا الخزائن موجودة عندكم الآن موجودة في المحلات التجارية في كل مكان. هذه خزائن ضد الحريق مش خزائن ضد السرقات. ما تقدر تنفتح بسهولة كم ضربة تنفتح. هذه يسمونها خزائن ضد الحريق. الخزائن اليابانية والهجوم هاي يسمونها ضد الحريق وليس ضد السرقة.
Okay, the primary, and we're talking about burglary safes now. The primary methods to open these safes professionally is either manipulate them open, you can feel on some of the combination locks and read where the gates are.
Okay.
Just like you see in the movies, sort of.
الخزائن اللي ضد السرقة المهم اللي فيها قوانين الأقفال الرقمية دائرية تشعر البوابات اللي قصد بوابات يقصد فيها هو في داخل مكانين الخزنة عبارة عن دواس مثل الاسطوانات فيها فتحات هذه بيسميها البوابات أو الجيتس اللي تكون على استقامة واحدة لما بعد كذا لفة على أساس يدخل فيها الكاميرا اللي تفتح فيها الباب.
This is called manipulation.
هذا يسمى تلاعب في الأرقام.
So basically, by feeling what's happening inside the lock, we can figure out the combination.
الإحساس شو نعرف شو اللي يصير داخل القفل نعرف يسمونه الأرقام التلاعب.
I have associates that I work with that can manipulate some high security safes within about 3 to 4 minutes.
أنا عرفت واحد من الزملاء في نفس المجال يقدر يستغرق معاه 30 دقيقة في التلاعب بالأرقام لحسب يقدر لما يفتح الباب.
Okay, and then we have robot dialers.
وعندنا بعد اللي هو الآلي اللي يفتح الأرقام هذه.
And you can put a little machine, as we talked about, onto the dial and go and it'll open the safe. It'll figure out the combination.
عندنا يقول تحط هاي الآلة تركبها على الرقم يتحرك بشكل سريع جدا لما يفتح لك باب الخزنة.
Now, for burglars that don't know what they're doing,
الحرامية اللي ما يعرفوا كيف يتصرفون كيف يفتحون.
They obviously can use torches and cutters, either to do the hinges or to cut holes in the door, cut the safe lock out, really mess up the safe.
اللي ما يعرفون يجيبون عندهم يسمونه اللي هو أداة اللحام اللي هو غاز أكسجين ولا يجيبون أدوات ولا يجيبون أمور القطع أو أي شيء يدمر لك الخزنة.
Now, the preferred way to open safes is to drill a tiny little hole.
أفضل طريقة إنك تحفر ثقب صغير في تعمل ثقب في الخزنة.
At exactly the right point over the lock.
مباشرة فوق القفل.
And we do this by what we call a drill point diagram.
بنسوي هذا بوجود رسم على تحديد مكان يسمونه.
We have a database of virtually every real combination lock in the world.
عندنا قاعدة بيانات لكل خزنة مصنعة يبين ميكانيكية وضعية الخزنة من الداخل.
So that it will tell us, if you put that on the outside of the safe, it'll tell us exactly where to drill.
إذا حطينا هذا الرسم للخزنة معينة في مكان على باب الخزنة بيحدد مكان الثقب اللي نقدر نثقب فيه.
So we drill a hole and we take a little borescope or endoscope and look through the hole.
نسوي الثقب في المكان اللي حددناه ونطالع من خلال الثقب اللي حددناه.
And we can turn the dial and look at where the wheels are and where the gate is to open the lock.
نحن من دورة نشوف بالإندوسكوب وين هالاسطوانات الداخلية وين تكون الفتحات وين المجرى أو الكامل اللي تدخل الفتحات هذه.
We can also drill very precise holes to drill out critical components so there's nothing to keep the lock from opening.
Okay.
You know how the fence drops into the gates?
Yes.
We can drill to make that fence disappear.
Oh, okay.
You know how the fence is soldered in or soldered in?
Okay.
You drill it out so there's no more fence.
Okay. أنا ممكن نسوي ثقب نقطع الحاجز بالذات اللي يثبت البيبان نقطعه تماما نخليه ما في مكان تثبيته.
Okay? So there's and the last really neat way, we can drill a hole in the back of the safe, which may not be protected.
ممكن نحن نسوي ثقب من الخزنة من الخلف اللي ما بتكون طبعا محمية من الخلف.
And we can go through the reprogramming hole in the back of the lock with a scope to see what's happening in the lock.
وممكن نشوف من الخزنة من الخلف كيف يشوف القفل حركة القفل هذا.
Now, on the really good safes, they have glass panels in the doors.
الخزنات الجيدة يكون موجود طبقة من الزجاج داخلية تعزل عن الاندوسكوب وتعزل الشعاع يوصلها.
And when you drill through these doors, if you drill into that glass, it shatters like a windshield.
إذا عملت ثقب في باب الخزنة وضربت هذا يسمونه اللوح الزجاجي بيتكسر ويتناثر داخل الباب.
And what's hooked to this glass is a bunch of what's called tension relockers.
اللي متصل بهذه الزجاج عبارة عن ألسنة إضافية للباب تتحرك مع الشدة.
And these are extra bolts that you don't know about.
وهذه عبارة عن أذرع ثانية ما تعرف عنها.
And they're all spring-loaded, hooked to the glass.
وكلها أصلا متصلة مع الزجاج هذه.
So the trick is you don't know where the manufacturer put them.
الخدعة في الموضوع أن المصنع ما تعرف المصنع وين حاط اللوح الزجاج في أي مكان مع الأذرع هذه.
And if these relockers release, you're screwed.
إذا كسر هذا الزجاج والأذرع صارت خلاص ما في فايدة.
Because now you got to figure out where the relockers are and drill every one of them out.
لازم تعرف كل واحد وين مكانه ولازم تسوي تثقب كل مكان تعرفه.
Okay, this is basic. Toby, what I missed?
People that use on the laser.
Okay. Another way to open the safes is with the thermic lance.
Thermic lance.
Yeah. This is a little.
Thermic lance اللي عدسات حرارية بس كيف ياخذ عدسات حرارية ما أعرف.
Okay, this is a 150-year-old technique that was developed in England.
هذه طريقة حدثت من 1500 سنة في بريطانيا.
I have a little briefcase, the size of a briefcase with a little tool in it.
أنا عندي حقيبة صغيرة فيها آلة معينة.
18-inch long, quarter-inch diameter copper rods.
again
18-inch long,
طوله 18 انش
quarter-inch diameter,
ربع انش قطره
copper rod
من النحاس
with magnesium wires going through the center.
ومن داخله مادة المغنيسيوم.
You hook this up to with acetylene or the oxygen,
اوكي الاكسجين
and you take a battery and you spark it
وممكن
catch it on
تسوي شرارة عن طريق البطارية
to ignite it,
لإشعاله
and it develops 10,000 degrees instantly.
مباشرة يعطيك درجة حرارة 10,000 درجة مئوية.
And it'll make a hole in anything.
ويسوي لك ثقب في أي مكان.
It'll vaporize whatever material you're going through, including a demonstration I did at our penitentiary with a granite block a foot thick.
دمر لك ويسوي لك أي مكان، حتى يقول لك على يسمونه اللي هو السجل المركزي عندهم بطابوقة أو بمسلح اخترق مرات.
So this is also a very neat tool to make holes in safes.
هذا آلة يسمونه فريدة لعمل ثقب في الخزن.
Or if you don't like somebody, you go up to the front of their engine and make a hole for their engine block.
Engine?
A car. You don't like the guy. You walk up, you go, and now they got a hole in their engine block that you can do in 1 minute. Bye bye.
ما داري شخص عاد تصير تسوي له ثقب في سيارته.
Toby, did I miss anything generally?
Well,
Huh? I mean, that basically covers it.
yeah.
Okay, this isn't the safe course, obviously. That's just a survey. Any questions? Yes, sir.
What's about the car?
What about?
The car, the keys car. They're asking about, many people are asking about the cars. The cars, I mean, the key of the car, how to open the cars, how to...
I'll tell you what, the guys that are, first of all, we don't do cars. We just drive.
أنا أسبق يا جماعة في ملاحظات. الكورس هذا أنا أقول فيه السيايير هذه بروحها دورة ثانية مستقلة تماما ومدة طويلة لأنه أطفال السيايير وأنواع الأطفال وتركيب الأطفال وكذا هذه يعني علم ذات أو شيء ثاني تماما يعني ما نبغى نتعارض مع قضية الموضوع الرئيسي لأن الموضوع بحد ذاته موضوع طويل موضوع يشتغل وقت طويل فبالتالي وضح بعض الأخوة الموضوع لأن موضوع كون الأطفال الآن احنا ماشيين عليه موضوع السيايير هذا موضوع آخر ما نبغى نسمونه ندخل فيه أو نمشي فضل.
عفوا لو اعترفتنا بس عن الأشغال الإلكترونية والديجيتال نفس الشيء.
Okay, he want to have the idea about the electronic communication about the doors or the safes.
Okay, let me talk, well, that's a whole different issue. Let me talk a couple minutes. First of all, the associates we deal with tomorrow do cars.
الرجال بيباشر يتعامل مع السيارات.
And there's some tools out of Bulgaria that they sell, some little computers that can read and reprogram or decode programs in certain vehicles.
في بلغاريا جهاز يباع بلغاريا إن ينسخ أو يصنع أو يقرأ الشفرات والمسايير مختلفة بالويسكلة طبعا بعضها.
They also carry decoding tools for all of the Mercedes, BMW, Volvo, Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche, all the tools to quickly decode the locks.
يحملون هالآلات اللي هي ممكن تقرأ شفرات اللي هي سيارات البي ام، المرسيدس، البورش، الأودي، الفولكسواجن.
We've got videos showing how to open a lot of these locks.
عندنا فيديو يوريك كيف تفتح هذه السيارة كلها.
You just need to contact us, but we shot all the videos showing how to do this.
احنا صورنا وثقنا هالامور كلها بالفيديو كلها بس اتصلوا فينا المواضيع هاي.
Okay, I mean our favorite way of teaching obviously is to do video.
احنا افضل طريقة في التدريس هو بعرض الفيديو.
Okay, as far as electronic safes, there's no rule.
بالنسبة للخزن الإلكترونية لا توجد قواعد.
Some of these electronic safes can be mechanically bypassed.
بعض هذه الخزن ممكن تتجاوز ميكانيكيا مع إذا حتى لو فيها يسمونه أقفال إلكترونية.
Some of them have hidden locks for bypass.
في بعضهم عندهم أقفال مخفية عن تجاوز.
So we'll go after the locks.
نحن نحل الأقفال.
We're doing, because we work with the largest lock companies in the world that make some of these safes.
احنا نتعامل مع شركات عالمية تصنع هذه الأقفال.
We're doing a study and an investigation right now on some electronic safes and how to get into them. Some of them have bypass codes.
احنا بإمكاننا نقول احنا نعمل دراسة مع التعاون مع بعض الشركات في بعض الخزن الإلكترونية وكيف التجاوز الفني فيها. ولكن في بعض الخزن على فكرة في أنا اشتغلت في كذا قضية.
You understand what a bypass code is?
Yes.
Yeah, backdoor.
Okay. في بعض القضايا اشتغلت في دبي هني مثلا في بعض الماركات شركات مثلا خزن خاصة الفنادق الإلكترونية في كود معين. الكود معين موجود عند الوكيل المعتمد او المصنع. بعضهم ليس بالمصانع كذا. هذا الكود بامكانك تدقه تفتح لك اي خزنه
نفس الماركت
تفتح لك اي خزنه يسمونه من عندما المصنع موجود في الفنادق لانه يقول لك اذا تم مثلا مقفوله ولا شيء ويفحصونها او مقفوله يضرب هالكود فتح خزنه خلاص فتحت مباشره. في بعضهم موجود ايش؟ مفتاح خاص فيه ميكانيكي بالاضافه الى الكتروني. في بعضهم لا في معاه يسمونه مثل اتاتشمنت تحطه في الاتاتشمنت هذا وتسمونه تضرب الكود عشان تفتح الخزنه. هاي يكون المفروض يكون مع اداره الفندق او اداره ولكنها ممكن برنامج تب. في قضيه اخذناها اللي هو في صدر الفندق على مدى شهر تكررت 4 مرات في نفس الفندق بغرف مختلفه وشكاوى من على مدى هذا النزيل اشتكى صرف مني بعد اسبوع نزيل ثاني بعد 4-5 نزيل ثالث. دليل الخزنه فحصناها اتضح ان الخزنه ممكن تنفتح ببطاريه خط وايرين على بطاريه 9 فولت يفتحها بالخزن بالكامل. ففي يعني في عده طرق ما لها قاعده ثابته.
كيف اعرف الطريقه يعني؟
هاي دراسه
عاديه ولا بطريقه غير نظاميه؟ كيف؟ بامكاني اعرف انها فتحت بطريقه عاديه او بطريقه غير نظاميه؟
هذا مقال الفحص هذا. المال الموضوع هذا. انا هالفحوصات الموضوع ليس انا علمي في الخزن هذا لكن
لا هذه اسئله تجينا من تجيب الخزنه الالكترونيه ويقول هذه فتحت بالرقم العادي او بطريقه غير نظاميه.
حاول تشوف هل ممكن تفتح بطريقه ثانيه ولا لا غير طبيعيه. اذا انت ما كان يمكن فتحها. What you're asking, some cases they bring in electronic safe, hotel safe, whatever, and they ask me, is this safe? It's been opened by normal way or by bypass or by different way?
Okay, it's not a pinto. Those are case specific. The safe for a hotel.
Yeah,
you have different ones.
It depends on how the lock is designed, whether it captures information.
So it could be. We're gonna show you for Marc. Can you find the opening or?
يعني القصد ان هل تسوي كيف ريكو يعني خلي دي بيانات منفتح في ذي الوقت ذي مفتوح.
في كذا موجوده موجوده. في بعض المعلومات في توصل او
Listen.
بامكان بعد.
Okay.
في طرق تفتحها دون ما تكون في كود انك تبرنت اوت.
After
this is something that I want to say first that maybe you guys don't know about safe and electronic safe. First of all, it can be a back door, okay, with a code.
A code.
Okay, on mechanical safe, dial safe. When you buy this, is a good safe. When you buy this safe, that safe comes with a serial number probably for the lock. Okay, the manufacturer, before they ship those safes, they have those combinations. Okay? If you're a registered locksmith, you can call and say, what is the combination for this serial number? If they can compare it, they can give you that information too.
Unless it's been changed.
Unless it's been changed.
Unless it's been changed.
So on an investigation also, do you guys change the combination, or if this is a factory made combination? There on electronics, let me tell you, is a million of possible ways that you, because it's not like a big tumbler that you can analyze. It's digital information that you don't know if you can punch a magic number and the safe opens.
It also depends whether the safe captures audit trail information or not. When it's open and how many times.
Now,
it depends on the manufacturer. So there's no rule that we can tell you, yes. It depends on the safe. After the break, we're going to talk about briefly a couple of cases, and we're going to show you a video that we did last year showing you on some of these consumer level electronic safes how we opened it in seconds with absolutely no trace, no audit trail, nothing. Okay? And this is typical. We were just in Germany a few weeks ago looking at different safes at a huge security show. And a lot of them have the same problem. And so that you really need to be aware of, that the manufacturers really aren't aware of, that we can show you. But we also want to talk to you about a case, an investigation that I worked involving a safe that used a credit card to open it.
And to give you
magnetic swipe.
And to give you an idea on electronic safe, basically what you have it all of the safe, you have a bulb that is blocked for a mechanism. Is either mechanical or electrical. Some of the safe uses a solenoid,
a little motor,
to release a blocking element that that blocks actually the handle and the bolts that lock the door. You can vibrate that solenoid and open.
The guys here tomorrow have a tool that we've got a video on, I don't know if I have it with me, that you can take this little thing and put it on a drill motor and go, the safe is open. That's it. Open.
We have also on the same solenoid, we have found ways to interwire, drop it.
We're going to talk to you about two cases where we mechanically, in a few seconds, bypass the lock in hotel safes. All right, no more than 10 minutes. Okay.
That's the thing. But those are specific.
It's safe specific.
With electronics, no, it's very well.